Graham, the podcast has awakened. Welcome back, Graham.
Welcome back, Ewan.
Here we are.
Here we are for the uninitiated. We're speaking about Dune.
We're speaking about Dune. We're not even going to fucking preamble. We're in.
We're in.
Bro.
You heard it. The podcast has awoken.
Welcome to the Scenes podcast, guys.
Yes. Welcome.
And, you know, we are so happy to be here today.
Yes, to defend the next Hitler.
Oh, no, that's not.
Well, wait, was that not all done?
No, that.
Shit. I had the
cut
wrong read.
the film
I had
dead
the wrong read.
ass.
Sorry. Damn it.
No,
Paul's not the hero.
He's not entirely wrong.
Oh no.
No, I'm not gonna be. This is like a Joe Rogan fucking like, yeah. Listen, that Paul Atreides.
Hey.
You know, he's saying, I don't know why I got to Trump. Paul Atreides, lovely guy. I can't do my Trump
I
voice.
saw one on Twitter and it was Trump as a worm.
Oh,
And
it's
he
a
was
worm.
He's like, little Paul, you get a bad deal with the Harkonnens. I can get a better deal.
I saw that was really good. I saw one that was more like he was Paul, and he's like, they're calling me Lisan Al Gaib. They're calling me Mahdi. They're calling me Usul.
Mahdi.
I have the most spice, the most worms, many worms, great worms. Like, I'm so happy, Graham. I'm so happy to be here. We're
Yes.
talking about Dune.
We're talking about Dune,
We're
the saviour of sci-fi.
We saw the saviour of sci-fi might even not be
It
incorrect
might
at this
be.
point until
Maybe.
Star Wars decides to make another fucking movie next
Ooh.
century. Oh, I don't know, Mandalorian and Grogu coming to a theatre near you, hopefully
Let's
not.
go. Not even with its biggest star, probably.
Because without Pedro and without a good title, you know.
Oh man.
Yeah, we saw Dune Part 2. It's in cinemas.
We did.
As of recording.
Yes.
We actually rewatched Part 1 beforehand.
Of course.
And
to get it in the
yeah,
mind.
because we got it. You know, you got to do end on.
Aye.
It works so flawlessly as a two-parter.
Yes.
I feel.
Yes.
I am-
Ideally, it was 1 5-hour epic.
I mean, honestly,
But
I
it
would watch a
wasn't.
complete cut. Honestly,
Of course.
and also, I mean, just quickly, we've also watched the David Lynch one. That's not like a
We have.
requirement.
That was a long while ago, so it's a harder one
That
to
was a
recall,
hot while ago, actually.
probably.
But luckily we didn't feel we need to. It's not like we're going to watch the David
True,
Lynch one. It may
true.
be relevant to Evil
Equally as
and Part 2.
Pog, but in different ways.
It was fantastic for a completely different set of reasons.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, first off,
Mhm.
so what is Dune?
What is Dune? Dune Ewan is Frank Herbert on his own spice.
Frank Herbert in the desert on cocaine,
Yes, What
who's
is
found
Dune?
Islam.
basically. Just a big sci-fi epic. Loads of religious overtones. Some political intrigue. But mainly about spice.
Mainly about spice. It's about spice. It's about fucking a man being out in the desert, fucking
Aye.
learning how to live his life.
Just learning how to be like one with the people.
And then, do you know what?
Nature.
See, at the end of the day,
Yep.
just at the end of the story, it's a like bit of genocide.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not that bad. Really. Aye.
Not in this one.
Not this one.
It was
Yes.
it was a book. It was Frank Herbert's Dune and multiple other books that have not been adapted by Denis Villeneuve yet.
Uh-huh.
It's a long run. It's old. It's a lot older. I think we really give it credit for. But
Right.
we literally talked about this before we started. That you actually tweeted something about how Dune's basically like Star Wars is basically Dune.
Aye.
Because one thing once you read or watch Dune, the first thing you'll start to notice is, oh my god, everything is Dune.
Right.
Like Dune is like
it's all Dune.
it's one of the progenitor sci-fi epics.
Right.
I mean, Frank Herbert was out back in the day. Like, every good sci-fi thing these days will either reference directly or take something from Dune.
Okay.
Star Wars is like,
Oh, damn.
it's always been like Akira Kurosawa by way of Flash Gordon, but it's also
Aye.
Dune, just because like Dune was like, oh, I want to make a sci-fi thing.
Mm.
Dune's like the best sci-fi thing at this point.
Aye.
And, you know, because it is such a rich world space,
Yeah.
very detailed, like fucking characters, politics, environments.
Yeah.
And it's got, as you say, such a very fucking thick narrative full of like deep, like political and religious intrigue, alongside like every so often a big fucking worm will eat somebody, and like somebody will like shoot a laser
Ooh.
or like something. There'll be like fucking sword fights in the desert,
Yeah.
and I love it for that. But it's interesting because I didn't really know much about Dune before it got until Part 1 came and Dune
Right,
got
aye.
big.
Right.
And I'm not saying Dune wasn't big, but more like, so right before Part 1 came out,
Mm.
it was very much like first off, it was notoriously unadaptable
Right.
because it'd have a couple like TV series, but they're always a bit like awkward and weird because the
Right.
books themselves and a bit awkward and weird.
Are awkward and weird, yeah.
They use a lot of like internal monologue.
Right.
They use a lot of like sweeping descriptors to fill time, and then the later books just fucking fly off the handle. And we say this, I don't really know what happens, but I know like a guy becomes a worm at one point. Like just a guy just is a worm now.
Because I get the feeling that like eventually we would just need to like fuck off Arrakis and
most
leave
likely.
it.
I'm surprised to know. In my head, I'm like, we're even going to be on Arrakis in the fucking next one.
Aye, because like you just I get like spices. Like obviously the only thing that creates this galactic empire. Because if you don't have the spice, you can't get to the other planets to like colonize them or whatever.
It was the quote for the start of part 2. He who fucking controls the spice controls all.
Aye, so like at some point we probably would need to like leave it or destroy it or something like that.
Aye. Do you think I mean, this is like speaking as people who haven't read any of the books.
Aye.
I'd like to read at least the first 2 because there's
the ones that are going to be adapted.
Well, yeah, I've not read spoilers for at least Messiah because Villeneuve said very pointedly, he's like, I wanted to do Dune as a 2-parter and then Messiah because that tells like the entirety of like Paul's story. Right. And that's just a complete arc. I can leave it.
Right. Okay.
Although a lot of people have also said if you read Children of Dune as well, you'll get like that's the third book. You'll get like an extra more. Right. It's after that point where it starts to get more and more like
wild,
like Heretics are doing and like fucking Chapter House doing, and then the books get weirder and apparently badder because Frank Herbert passed away, unfortunately, and I think it's his son, isn't it, that was writing them. And allegedly that was with ideas from Frank, and I'm not even necessarily his son's a bad writer, it's just a lot of people are like, it's just like not the same as it used to be.
Fair.
What it is, you know, as I say, there was TV shows and that, and then we had the sort of the controversial sort of like, Andrew Jodorowsky was going to do one.
Right.
Fucking H.R. Giger was on the concept part.
The boy. The worms kind of look that, I guess.
There was an even weirder story where did you hear about, so they wanted Salvador Dali to play the Emperor, Shaddam IV.
Let's go.
And I actually read a thing where like Dali wanted to be paid 100k by the hour.
Okay.
So Jodorowsky was like, fine, I'll make it so all of the Emperor scenes are done in 1 hour. So we can only pay him for 1 hour.
Sick.
That's like a whole thing, and then that fell in.
Obviously.
And then it get passed to David Lynch.
The boy.
Of Twin Peaks fame. Was Twin Peaks out when Dune came out?
I'd need to check the timeline you're in. I would say probably not, but maybe.
It was still around enough at that time. I mean, Lynch was prolific enough at the time for doing like what he sort of was up to. You know what I mean?
He'd had Eraserhead.
Of course.
Right. Twin Peaks is 90. Dune is not 90. I don't think.
It's Dune like 93, 96?
Let me check here.
Twin Peaks is 1990?
Dune is 84.
84?
Yeah, so 6 years after Dune, we get Twin Peaks.
When was Blue Velvet?
Blue Velvet is, a second film? 86. So Blue Velvet's 2 years after.
That's so wild to me. Do you think Dune was the thing that like made him? But fuck it, fine, I'm doing Firewalk with me, like, let's go.
No, because Dune wasn't very well commercially received.
No,
or
it wasn't.
Critically received.
Critically. And I think David Lynch in general just doesn't receive that well.
Aye. I think that's the second time Kyle MacLachlan's worked with him.
Yes.
I think he'd done something before.
And then he would come back for Twin Peaks.
Aye, because like they just have a good relationship, you know.
I know, I don't blame them. Based on what I've seen of Kyle, I think it's very easy to have a positive relationship with him. I need to listen to his podcast.
I would agree.
He seems to agree. Such a nice, genial man. And it's funny because I see him and you see him like Twin Peaks, and then he was in like, I think he was like a murderer on like Desperate Housewives. And then he was literally like Dr. Hyde in fucking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, man.
Spoilers for Agents
of
S.H.I.E.L.D.
Guy. Love that guy.
And spoilers for Dune.
Yes.
Just, you know, depending on when you're listening to this. Although, if you're listening to this in the far future, and like the Butlerian Jihad has happened, and there is no machines,
damn,
and you are on a Hayliner going from Caladan to Arrakis,
yes,
like, read Dune first anyway.
Yeah, because like,
or watch it.
You might know.
You might be living it.
Bro.
Paul is having his visions of the past, and it's us doing this podcast.
You're Paul, man, shit.
Just talking to like what's happening in the movie, and he's like, fucking, I just had a vision, and a Scottish guy was like, I need to go south.
And then the Bene Gesserit, don't we?
Don't go south.
Don't
like
do it, bro.
It's me and his team going like, mate, don't do it, man.
Just go north
fucking
instead.
Don't, bro. Just keep going north, actually.
Aye, then it's like, but if I go north far enough, I'll end up in the south.
Bro, man.
No.
Maybe that's how he beats it, though. Maybe he's like, if you go south, like, there's a whole lot.
Yeah.
If you just keep going north, like, you will end up in the south, but you didn't go south.
Because, see, at the north-south, that's where, like, the fundamentalists are. But they're the fundamentalists that are like, nah, Just don't.
we're,
Just don't.
we're fundamentals about a completely different religious sect,
Aye.
actually. We're not about, like, listen, Al Gaib, like, you
The
missed
Bene,
those guys. They were
aye.
back there. Like,
The
oh,
Bene
fuck.
Gesserit could not penetrate us.
I was
They could
going to
not
say, we're
sell
at the
us their
heart of
lies.
fucking Sandstorm and, like,
Aye.
fucking Gaius Mahayim. It's like, fuck it, I can't be fucked. Like,
Nah.
it's like too sandy, bro.
No idea.
I want to know how the Bene Gesserit even got there. The fact that they're constantly, like, you literally just can't live down there. Like,
Aye.
nobody can get there. Only the Fremen know how to do it. And it's like, but the Bene Gesserit just did it. I guess it's because they are literally superhumans.
Nah, I think maybe they like implanted the Bene Gesserit there when it was a paradise.
You think?
Potentially.
Either
I
that
have
or
not
the
read
Bene
the books.
Gesserit were like.
We might have an answer for that.
I think. Do you know what it might have been? I think. You say the books might tell us, but the way that they act, I think the Bene Gesserit like pick people. They get involved somehow. So they
Aye.
were probably on Arrakis, like, with the Bene Gesserit, like, fucking send us women and we'll do shit.
Aye.
And they were probably, the Fremen were like, aye, we got some fucking women. Like, we need a Reverend Mother. Like,
Right, aye.
we'll just send one out and they'll come back. But while she was out, they were like, by the way, start this fucking prophecy about the Lisan al-Haib,
Aye.
because you're a part of us. And then she goes back to the Fremen. I think, that makes sense. Because, like, a lot of the characters in this are just kind of like, yeah, I was, like, just made into Bene Gesserit. Or, like, I
Aye.
was tangentially related to one. So they're like, you get involved.
Cool.
And everybody has a Reverend Mother or, like,
Aye.
a Bene Gesserit near them. So,
Yeah.
okay, I've answered that question.
Which
That
man
might,
is,
I,
like,
might- I might read
issues.
the book and I'm like, no, it's actually completely different.
Aye,
You
yeah.
need to be high on spice to understand.
Probably though. Yeah.
Oh, bro. So, quickly then, I mean, when you mentioned it, so the David Lynch one did come out and it was
Aye.
a commercial and critical
Critical
flop.
Yes.
I loved it.
It's a great time, man.
I think what's interesting is that he really tried his best to, like, adapt as much of what he could,
Right.
for better or for worse.
Yes.
Like, they will just have Kyle MacLachlan and, like, fucking Patrick Stewart and, like, all these actors and actresses just, like, stare off into the fucking camera centre left and, like, narrate their interior thoughts.
Right.
And then they even go through, like, we'll do, like, the time skip, we'll do, like, the pause with the fucking Fremen for all the time.
Aye. Yep.
Sting's here.
Sting's here. We've got the Emperor with a big space baby at the start.
Bro, they're like, I'm going to adapt the fucking, like, the scene with the Guild Navigator. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Which helps maybe the intro because you get to, like, see the Emperor be, like, shady. And, like, you get a bit of an intro to, like, the whole plot.
I think what's
Before it
interesting,
boots
because
off.
that is a whole one movie, it works better.
Right.
I think looking at the Villeneuve ones, it's like, I wish Christopher Walken was in part 2 more. There's your first, like, review of it, but, like,
Right.
I get why he was only in it as much as he was.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, like, he's not even a villain as much as he's just an obstacle.
Aye.
But, like, in Lynch's one, because it's, like, one entire unit, it's like, well, okay, you're set up, payoff.
Aye. Like,
Whereas
he's at the start and he's at the end.
he's at the start of Dune Part 2 because
Aye.
that's his thing. He's not
Mhm.
really even, he's mentioned, he's critical at Part 1, but
Aye.
it's more of, like, the Harkonnens, the direct threat in that one.
Yes.
But you're right in terms of, like, what Lynch's one was. I'm like, oh, that was like, I need to figure out. I believe that scene was, like, in one of the books or, like, it's referenced in a book. It's
Right.
just not, like, done the way that they did it or as early as they
Aye.
did it. But the
Aye.
way they did it, as you say, was actually really helpful for the situation.
Mhm.
But it was also just fucking weird because it's a giant
Well,
mutated baby in a tub.
It's just the best way to, like, throw us in because if it's going to be weird,
You might as well just not hold back.
I want it to be weird the whole time.
I love it for, like, some of the stuff it did regarding that, like, weird visual effects work. You know, it's maybe not the H.R. Giger, but, like, she's Geiger or Giger?
Geiger. Oh, I say Geiger.
I'm talking off of Earthbound logic.
German,
Is
right?
it Giger or
Probably.
Geiger? It's like,
Who knows?
anyway, his visuals would have also been more extreme, but yeah, like, all the stuff the Lynch one was actually still, there's a lot of, like, funny stuff. Everything they did with the Emperor was really interesting because he's
Right.
so, I think the Emperor's better in the Lynch one in regards to what the book was as
Right.
opposed to the Villeneuve one,
Okay.
because he's a lot younger. He looks very young in the book,
Right.
but he's dressed in, like, fancy military regalia, and he's like, yeah, I'm like the Emperor of the universe, and I have a big fucking fancy throne, and I wear my armor. Whereas Christopher Walken's just walking about in his bathrobe.
Aye.
I love it,
All the F.
but, like, I love the outfits in that, and I love, like, a lot of the location work in that. I like Kyle MacLachlan a lot.
Me too, man.
He's just very old to be playing Paul, and this was when he was young. Because Paul's
Maybe.
Paul's like 16, 15 in the books.
He looks
Timothy at
okay,
least
though.
looks as young as, like, Paul was.
Yeah. Aye.
Kyle's like an adult.
Yeah.
I still love him for it.
Me
But
too.
it always feels like they aged everyone up to match him. Like, fine, we've got, like, Kyle as an adult, so, like, Gurney, like, Patrick Stewart Gurney,
Aye.
and, like, I remember his dad was, like, old. Like, the guy who played
Can't even
Leto in
remember
the
his dad.
original one.
I can't even remember it.
I just remember him looking, like, a bit old.
Okay. Like,
So
I
maybe-
could believe that's the son.
Maybe they were just like, I fuck it, like, we have to get an older Paul will just have everyone
for
else's
it.
older. I don't.
Aye.
But I don't know. It's been a while since we watched it, so there's not much more I remember.
Yeah.
And it's not really the focus. I actually do recommend people watch it.
Aye, it's worth a watch.
There's some good releases of it there now.
If you like just Dune, the story of Dune,
yeah, if you like Dune, it's always good to see. What they did to the Baron was weird because he just flies about a lot and he's like smelly and slimy and he's like an idiot. But it's just worth seeing what they did. It's also just a really fun sci-fi experience. It's quite like it's like so bad it's good. It's like schlock in a lot of ways. Although I don't know, did we not watch it and kind of feel like I don't even think it's so bad it's good. I think it's just good.
I quite enjoyed my time with it. I don't think it's that bad.
I think it's excessive.
Worse films,
but like I say worse films.
I think films like the 80s are a bit like that.
Yeah, it fits right in with its time.
I like obviously movies have become like a bit more serious in general when tackling like an adaptation or just in general, to be honest. But like the 80s films or just films made long ago seem to just be have a bit more levity.
Yes.
And they just seem to have a bit more carefree fun about it.
And do you know what? Dune does feel like that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you do sort of dip in with like that the Baron is a big bumbling idiot, but it's a bit more like he's just having fun. Cameron McLachlan's performance is like great, but he also I mean that's not actually just Kyle. A lot of the performances are delivered with this like absurd gravitas.
Aye.
Like I remember like, you know, the thing I said at the start when like he's in the desert like Father, the sleeper has awakened, and like I'm pretty sure I remember Patrick Stewart being quite like yes, Patrick Stewart, he's naturally going to ham it up a wee bit.
To that,
but
Shakespearean flair.
He's very much like, wah!
Yeah.
And like, I love it for that.
I think those like sci-fi is just like big Arthurian legends in space, right?
Yeah, the best ones.
Like, I get those kind of like reflections.
Dune and Star Wars, I think what differentiates Star Wars down the line is like it uses a lot of like imagery for Dune, but like it differentiates itself on the line of like how it goes about the hero's journey type stuff.
Guess, yeah.
But Dune has its own. I was going to say.
Well, the prequels not so much, but the other
I was going to say the prequels are like the story of Dune, and the originals are like the visuals of Dune. You know, you've got like the story of like I'm actually because you're like how the prequels literally are.
Bro, Anakin hates sand.
Anakin does hate sand, bro. Bro, what's going to happen in Messiah? Is Paul going to be like, I don't like space, it's coarse enough and irritating, it gets everywhere?
Natalie Portman better be in it.
What, in Dune Messiah?
Yes.
Bro, let's go, actually. I wish she's getting more movies these days. What I was going to ask was, like, not against him, but, like, do you think this was, like, an issue for having Lynch on it? Not that Lynch is, like, bad or couldn't have done it, but, like, obviously there's a lot of talk about, like, should Lynch have done Dune? Like, was this a Lynch thing to do, or did he make it too Lynch?
No, because I don't think it's very Lynch.
That's fair. I don't think it's very Lynch either.
Aye.
But then was Lynch like, should we have got somebody else? Because, like, should we hamper Lynch to not do Lynch? Because if he's going to come off of Dune and then do, like, fucking Blue Velvet and, like...
Aye, like, you probably... If you're going to get Lynch, you want Lynch, but you didn't really want Lynch for this at the time, I guess, is why we got this.
It's a bit like when they gave when Hitchcock kind of fell into Rebecca, even though, like... Right. Hitchcock and Rebecca work a lot better than you would think because they're both like sort of like mystery thrillers. It's very window coded, Rebecca, in some ways. Whereas Lynch, I'm like, if you tell me that, it's like Dune's quite cerebral. It's quite like, you know, there's a lot of like symbolism and a lot of like
that's right up his alley.
Literally, it's very like Red Room. I don't know. You can tell me that Dune has like the fucking thing for Twin Peaks where there's like a guy with the arm and like
there's like war parallels.
So
into that.
I've always been a bit confused why people were a bit like. Maybe the issue is because it didn't feel as Lynch as you thought it could go.
I think maybe in retrospect it's harder as well because Lynchian like as a term, as a like genre wasn't really determined.
Well, yeah, I mean if we're talking pre Blue Velvet, like Twin Peaks, like it's insane. Like what were like Eraserhead?
Yep.
Anything else really? Like
I mean
obviously he's made other stuff, but like
I don't know when Lost Highway came out. That might have been before this or after it. I'm not sure. But like even Twin Peaks to an extent is not very Lynchian in that Lynch doesn't direct a lot of it, doesn't write a lot of it. It's just sort of like initial premises, and sure, like the big moments of it, he's there for either directing or writing it. And obviously, when the return comes around, it's like this is just what I wanted to do the whole time, and it's very weird and abstract.
That's Lynch.
So that's when like he kind of fully embraces it, maybe. But in terms of like Dune, I mean, it's right up his alley. It's something that should work. Like if he got to make it before the return or something, it could have been like I don't know how it would have went, but it could have been like much better. Do you think much worse?
I'm not saying he would have pushed it to the exact degree that Denis would have because Denis is a different type of director. But do you how sweeping do you think it would have been under like conceive of like the fighting in the Lynch one and like I mean I'm not saying it's like not a small scale, but like on a scale of like do you think I'm talking about a different type of scale. I'm talking about a 0 to 100 scale. Do you think Lynch could have delivered a closer or more of an epic Not the same as Denis, because again he's a different director, but
Yeah.
in that direction. Or do you think Lynch would never like? Or that does. I don't think Lynch.
Could be epic.
Not that he could. Not that it could
He's
be. Just
not
I don't
doing,
think he
like-
should be. Like
Aye, he's not going to do like the Battle of Helm's Deep.
you're right. You're not going to ask David
Aye.
Lynch to direct like a
You're
fucking
not doing that.
like the fucking final battle of Rise of Skywalker. He
Yeah.
could have done it better than JJ, but like
Probably. I don't think.
Plank Fed Ed and Eddie could have done it better. So like,
I think it'd be. I think it'd be epic in a different way, because like he's much more interested in like feelings and like how like an action could be portrayed, or like how it would affect X character.
yeah,
So I think he'd probably focus on them a lot more, like how Paul's mother feels when she has to go south, something like that would be like focus on a bit more. I think how Paul and Channy's relationship ultimately crumbles probably would be focused on a lot more if he had more time.
Well, that's also depending on what he's adapting, because
Exactly.
in the book it's not that. Did you know that everything about Channy being like a staunch like fucking I don't like this
Hater.
person like that? That's
Aye.
not in the book.
Right.
She just kind of goes along with it in the book. She's like, yeah, okay.
Aye, 'cause the
Apparently
Lynch
she's almost
one, she's not
apathetic
like an
at the
issue.
start. She's a bit like, yeah, I mean, if he's like a Muad'Dib, cool.
Right.
I love him. And
Aye.
if he also happens to be the prophesied Messiah of my faith, oh, pog.
Well, that's cool, because then like that's like an added element to the Denis one that like was like an interesting through line throughout the
Yes,
film.
I'll probably write back up, but a lot of people
Aye.
have been a bit like, oh, but it's not how it goes in the book. And I'm like, yes, here's a big fucking hit for you. It's better than the book.
I think it is, because like there's almost like no conflict with him then becoming the Messiah.
Oh,
in the
exactly.
book. Do you know what I
There's
mean?
internal, but like I don't, and I can't comment too much until I've read the book. But
Uh-huh.
like, as far as I can see in that, it's almost as a bit like he's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. Then every single person around him is like, yeah, take over our religion. Who gives
Aye.
a fuck?
Yeah. Like, he's obviously got Dick Rider Supreme Stilgar on him, but
I
like,
don't know. He does have like
Aye.
fucking. That's why he's the goat.
the goat. Like having Channy, who obviously he loves deeply, be like actually just unsure if you're like the guy, by the way, is like really nice to have some sort of pushback.
Someone pointed out as well, it really helps you emphasize like the negativity of the story. If you've got someone
Right.
directly saying, hey, everything about this isn't very good,
Aye.
then you're a bit like, oh, maybe she's right, maybe everything about this isn't very good. If you get like nobody getting in his way and be like, no, we love you, you become the god, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe should he become the god? And then at the end you're like, ba. But I think I'll talk more about that at the time, because I want to just I want to save that. I don't want to
Aye. Save
I'll-
that for Dune 2.
basically. That's like no, I mean just when we're talking about part 2.
Aye.
I'm already ready giving you my full analysis of part 2. I've really been, I mean it's just interesting to think about the whole Lynch situation.
Aye.
That is fascinating.
I agree. I mean, I would love David Lynch to do more things, but he doesn't.
would too.
And do you know what? That's okay.
Was
because
he?
we've got
Was it
enough.
Lynch or Finch who did that? The Killer, the one where
Fassbender?
yes,
That's Fincher.
Finch.
Yeah.
I not that I get
know.
them mixed up instead. I just like
Aye.
you got a guy called David Fincher and David Lynch, and I'm like,
Aye.
okay, something
David's-
David Inch. I don't know, like. And then the last thing is also the score for this movie is done by Toto.
Yeah, like listen, every score for like all of these are amazing.
Yeah.
I bet even the TV shows have some good ones, right?
I was gonna say,
Probably.
I'd like to hear them like those ones that we listen and watch into the. You got like fucking like Susan Sarandon and fucking James McAvoy
Aye.
out in the fucking desert. I don't know who the fuck, how that came about. They're like Africa,
I don't know.
Toto. Well,
Yeah.
let's get them on this, and then for them to make it fucking incredible.
Yes. Just
Like-
to like hit bangers out.
Though the fucking main theme and then the big battle for the end one
Oh, so good.
is exceptional. I even think there's a little bit of my brain that almost loves big battle more than anything by Hans Zimmer, but it's Hans Zimmer ones are perfect for that. I just personally, the joy I feel when I hear
Yes.
that flourish in big battle, I'm
It is
like, I could
incredible.
ride a Sandworm.
Yes.
Like that could be me.
I'm fighting for him.
Like
I'm doing
I'm
it.
fucking listening to Al Gaib. Like, so yeah, I thought that was worth mentioning because it's so incredible.
Yes,
It's
definitely
so
worth mentioning.
oh. But then okay, so we flip back around, and now we've got Denis Villeneuve on it.
Denis.
Now did you see the other day he was big in public and he was talking about how he's always wanted to do this.
Right, okay.
He was saying literally me and my childhood friend would draw storyboards of what we think a Dune movie would be like.
Damn, man. Where's that friend now?
And that friend's name is fucking Martin Scorsese.
Oh my god.
Well, it's kind of funny. It's about like, well, me and my friend used to do storyboards and now I'm making the movie and I'm like, what about the friend?
Where'd the friend go, bro?
So yeah, Denis clearly passionate about. He's passionate about the things that he does, but like this is clearly been a thing for him. And I mean, he's been very public about how he's going at it. A lot of people were shocked when they went into the cinema to see part 1 and for it to come up saying part 1.
Right.
But I wasn't, because he'd said in multiple interviews prior and very publicly, by the way, that's to go back to a partner.
Aye.
And also I want to do Messiah.
Right.
So I appreciate that though. I appreciate that he's got the forethought. Again, if you're doing sci-fi franchises, and not that this is going to become like the MCU or Star Wars, just like he's like, I want to do a package. I want to do a complete package. Here's the plan. Bang, bang, bang. And yeah, I mean, it held to the plan. The biggest hiccup was the writer's strike, obviously, delayed the release of part 2.
Yeah, we would have had that last year.
It was like October. But
Yeah.
honestly, like, I was fine waiting because it
We'd
was
have
just
had
like
it in
worth the
October,
wait.
and do you know what? Like, we might have had some awards contention.
Can you imagine? We'll be up for award contention next year.
Probably.
Bro, we got the Oscars coming up to date the video a wee bit. Like,
It's like a week maybe or something like that.
which is funny because we were like, let's do the Game Awards, let's camp out for the Game Awards, it's going to be so great. Oscars, do we even give a fuck about the Oscars?
Like I do, because it's just a good time. But no, probably not. Because I think it's a very predictable year.
Yes.
I don't think like it will surprise much, to
I was
be
going to
honest.
say, like, I love, like, Zone of Interest is not winning Best Picture.
Probably not, you know.
Neither is Barbie, which is
Neither's
annoying
Barbie.
because it's not fucking nominated.
That to be honest, like, before you've seen it, if someone had said, Ewan, a picture based on a Mattel action figure property is going to get awards buzz, would you believe them?
Definitely wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't have.
Exactly. So I get like the
bro,
weird
like He-Man, like
yeah, like I get the weird like there's like obviously probably some like sexual things or like sexist overtones.
Yeah, there's definitely
There's
some
reasons
issues.
that there's like old people aren't like into it because they're old men.
I was gonna say
Probably.
they hate it the same way you hated it. They don't even care it's a movie about a toy. They probably watched it
Exactly.
and they're like, hang on, one of the villains in this movie is a boardroom full of old men.
Will
We're a
Ferrell.
boardroom full of old men.
Explain. And I know the Oscars have like tried to freshen it up a bit, and they've got like some new people on the board, I'm sure. And they were like, we'll get some diversity in, we'll get all that, whatever. But it's no work right now, I guess. Maybe not quite there yet.
But then it's also just the general, like, do you think, like, here's our Oscar nominations, like, do you think it will just be like an Oppenheimer sweep?
Probably. I don't think that.
If things like Zone of Interest won, I'd be happy. I'm not even saying that. I mean,
probably
I want
gonna win
Oppenheimer to
some.
win because I fucking loved Oppenheimer.
Yeah, Oppenheimer's gonna win a lot.
But a bunch of these movies just sort of happen to me. And I know this usually happens, but this year especially, like, every Best Picture nomination I'd never heard of, and they like, they're only just coming out to your cinemas like now, a week before the Oscars.
We don't really get
Like,
a lot.
Anatomy of a Fall, Zone of Interest, The
Yeah.
Holdovers, like, what are these movies? And then everyone's like, oh yeah, Holdovers, Paul Giamatti's fucking amazing. And I'm like, this movie never existed until the nominations went up.
Man, the trailer was really good.
It looks good. I think I want to watch it because apparently it's really good.
American Fiction, is that what it's called?
Yes.
That one looks pog.
That's interesting. Although my pal Joe, he ranked them and he says that's his like worst.
Damn.
He watched all of them and he said he had that literally ninth. And
Worst of the best pictures though. It's not bad, I guess.
I was gonna say I think he said it was like I think he actually dishes it, but I'm like if you're like the lowest of like best picture, it's like okay, well.
Aye, you're still in pretty good company.
But I mean, Dune Part 2 will be best picture.
Probably not.
No, probably not.
I think the only genre win will be Shape of Water. Probably.
You think?
Forever. Yeah.
Man,
I don't think you're getting. Well, you might get like a big. Maybe when Messiah comes out.
I was gonna say
That'll get,
besides
like,
like that final flourish.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's really like a fantasy. Really
How we
gets
get
it,
nominations?
Stuff like that.
I think Rebecca Ferguson probably deserves a nomination.
Yeah, I'd give it her. I'd give it Hands.
Oh,
I'd give
well,
it visuals probably.
I'd give it like cinematography. I'd give it visual. I'd give it director.
Might give it director.
Because it's a directed movie. Both of them are like that's the thing. We can talk about them separate, but technically, as we said at the start, they're one unit.
Yeah.
They do just flow freely into one another. They just have different
Aye.
things happening, and they're both so fucking directed and they're so cinematographed. Like these are fucking movies where like
Man's
things happen.
creating words. In
Cinematographed,
front of me.
cinematographed, cinematic rated.
Yeah. It's adding to the language of film analysis.
Bro,
right
I'm
here.
fucking Martin Scorsese would be happy for me.
He'd be like, yes, Ewan.
I'm creating
continue.
cinematic language.
That's great work.
And see when
Okay.
he's on the set of like Killers of the Flower Moon 2 by Electric Boogaloo, and he's like, we need to get this cinematography rated.
Yeah.
I heard it on Scenes podcast.
And he phones you and he's like, bro, listen, I need to know how to shoot this one scene. Leo's
bro-
been a dick about it. Like, help me out.
Leo's been a dick about it. Fucking bro, don't worry, Martin, I got you, bro.
Got you, bro. Sit tight. I'll be there in a minute.
So, oh God, where do we really begin?
Where do we begin?
I mean,
Ewan?
Denise made these movies, and yeah, well, I guess the main question is, Graham, would you think of Dune?
Would I think of
Part
Dune?
1 and 2. And
Part
you can
one-
split it up if you want, like. you may have different
I'll split it
opinions.
up because like I do think one's better than the other. 2 is better than the other one. I mean, by saying that, totally just confused you all there by saying that. Words and that. Part 1 I'd give like a 4. Part 2 I would give like
5?
Part 2 I'd give like a 4.5. Just because it moves with a bit more pace. it's got a bit more going on. It's got a bit more about it. That's probably why I enjoyed 2 a bit more. But 1 is still extremely solid. Even that it's slower, it's like deliberately so, in that it's trying to build the world, it's trying to pad it out, and you kind of slip right into it quite easily, because we don't like, try to think of like a bad example. I can't right now, so I'll just say what I think about it. Like the way that it just sort of starts, and it's very base, slow. We're just in Caladan. That's all we're really worrying about at the minute. And then eventually, after like half an hour, we get to Arrakis. And it kind of blows up, and it's got all these different things happening at one time. Other ones might just like throw you in, and we've got like this here, then we cut to Caladan, then we cut back to Arrakis. So they could have done something like that.
Yeah.
But Denis was like, we're just going to do like, we're just going to introduce Paul, and then the Atreides, and then we're just going to build it for there. And that was quite smart.
It always feels like something's happening in the runtime. It's kind of like Oppenheimer, although I feel like Oppenheimer was better because I literally at no point during that film felt I was watching like a 5-hour film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This time, sometimes I'm like, I can feel that I've been watching this for a while. It's just something interesting is always going on that I don't mind that I've been watching. Again, this is where it comes into like a unit, because if you really think about it, the first one is the slow build, the expansion of the universe, and the second one is the payoff. Plus, I've never really had people point this out, but like the first one, you know, it's deliberately not as actiony. It is very much like it's a slow burn to the tragedy of the fall of the House of the Atreides.
Yeah.
Directed by Mike Flanagan. You from literally the start, you know something bad's gonna happen. Everyone's like, "Yep, there's a setup for a trap. We know we're about to get fucked. Like, we just need to like see how well we can bear it." So it's constantly like who's the players, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what they're doing. Oh shit!
Like we need to set up the board.
Literally, like Pirate Divvy's off on the planet getting Sardaukar with the fucking the Iberum like
the
guy.
Sardaukar are like the Emperor's like handman, so like that means he's involved and implicated.
Bro, like, what's the Emperor up to? Like, are you kidding me? And that guy, and the whole time is just in the background going like fucking like, I had to get one in.
The boy.
I had to get one in. I do that in the daily.
True.
Sometimes I'm just like, just to generate some buzz. Like,
literal throat buzz.
I want a hype man like that. And then, eventually it does hit like the big fall.
Aye.
I guess, so you say you think the pacing's good then, and I agree.
Aye.
I did talk to one of my friends at work today who said like he actually thought the pacing in part 2 was bad. He thought it was very much just like everything happened all at the end all at once. Which I think it's the problem is more just there's a rapid mass expansion
I can see you saying
of the scope.
Right.
Where like these things are going to go that way. Paul's been talking about like he's like, oh, I want to go like fucking supplant the Emperor.
Yeah.
So eventually it's like, oh no shit, the Emperor is now here and there is a big war.
Yeah.
And I'm now fighting to like control the universe and I'm now going to start a holy war.
Yeah.
So I think it's like he's not wrong that like things happen fast. It's just that like it's like I think it's because the scale expands so rapidly, but you kind of, I feel like if you've been, I'm not saying he wasn't paying attention, I'm just saying if you've been like listening to everyone in that, you kind of know it's coming.
I feel like
you prep for
it is all leading to it, so it's not like it just happens and you're like,
oh shit, now like, he's going to supplant the Emperor. Like, bro, he says he's going to do it in the first movie. Like,
it's like, alright, he's betrayed my family, he's destroyed my house, I'm like the last remaining one, I can grasp some sort of power. Okay, now I'm leading the Fremen, they seem to like me, so we're starting to take out the Spice Miners. Cool, we've got a footing, we've pushed them back, we're now in like, we've got like majority of the planet under control now. Oh, the Emperor's here, cool, now I can get revenge. Oh my god, Gurney, you've showed me where the nukes are, brilliant, that means I can nuke them all.
Oh, do you know what it is? I kind of want to know, the one single thing, I'm like, what is, because he lures the Emperor there, he just sort of sends him a note, and I think the note literally goes, by the way, Muad'Dib is me, Paul Atreides, I'm still alive, and the Emperor's like, I gotta go over there, bro.
I guess I can't remember exactly how it works out in the movie.
It's he finds the nukes first. He gets Gurney back, and Gurney's like, "Bro, you want to fuck up like all the shit with the Harkonnens?" Because I think they're always a bit like, "Oh, we need to do one big last push," but like that's like to fucking take the city. That's why they're always like, "You gotta go south. You gotta get the people." And he's like, "No, I can't go south. Like, we'll start a holy war." And they're like, but like other people are doing there.
I don't really know how he gets. Because if I'm the Emperor, why am I going to Arrakis?
I do have to ask that.
So it goads him in some way. And I
don't know if it's just like a direct control. Like, bro, like, no just has like fucking Fade and Bar. I mean, Fade's not doing too bad, like, but Fade's obviously psycho and Raban's an idiot. So, like, no, like fuck Vlad, the Baron's an issue. So, in my head, I'm a bit like, right, I've just got a note for fucking Paul Atreides, and we just did this giant fucking, like, coup that you weren't supposed to know about, and somehow you left the one fucking important guy next to Leto alive. Right?
Yeah.
And, like, he's fucking that shit up. I did say don't kill him, but also, how is he fucking back there starting a fucking religious revolt? How have you done this?
See, now that's where, like,
But they don't say this, and I'm trying to infer. It makes sense, but again, that's...
Well, it's like, that kind of shows that obviously the Emperor's not like the end, but the bad guy here. Like, it's obviously the Bene Gesserit that are the actual issue.
Aye, the real villains are the Bene Gesserit and they're Paul.
Aye, because like, if they don't implant the like religious fundamentalism or whatever it is, the story, into like the different planets, then Paul would never believe it, and then they wouldn't
really
South
either.
would never believe it either.
It wouldn't have like a South of all back on.
Aye, so the Emperor would just be in place the whole time. It wouldn't be an issue.
This whole like, this is like, it just breezes on the, oh man, perhaps religious fundamentalism is bad, and also those who would propagate religious fundamentalism in order to attain power is bad.
Yes.
Like, oh, commentary.
Commentary.
Frank Herbert's got something to say.
Aye, but like the Emperor, there probably should have been a scene, because I don't know how much, like, if I'm the Emperor and I need to go down there to like smack the Baron up a bit, I would feel more comfortable knowing that Fayed's there and he's on my side.
Fayed?
Whatever it is.
Fade?
Fade, right, Fade. Fayed?
Fayed?
If Fade's there, right, so if Fade's there and he's on my side because he wants to overthrow his uncle,
yep,
that would give him more confidence. But there's no scene where, because obviously there's a scene with his daughter and the Bene Gesserit that's like, oh, he's actually sound. He's a fucking psycho, but he can't be controlled, don't worry. There should have been a scene where like her and the Emperor being like, Fade's cool.
Oh, we should get Fade on our side.
Fade's on our side.
Cool.
Don't worry. He can take over the Baron. He'll kill Paul. Like, Bob's your uncle. Don't worry about it. So
Bob's
that would have made more sense to me than just like they turn up. And I can't remember exactly if there is a reason.
Well, why the Emperor goes.
Aye.
That's what I'm saying. He gets a letter, but what does the letter say? All I know that the letter says is that like he reveals that Muad'Dib is Paul. Is that really enough? Is that really like,
him and Chani, like, and a worm in the background?
The Emperor's like, bro, you fucked up that badly, Vlad.
Yeah,
like, I gotta go in there and get this sorted.
Like, bro, I'm sorry.
That being said, I don't know why I went. That was a slight nitpick, but I think it's because I had to find a chip in the armor because I also loved it to bits. I thought it was fucking incredible.
Chip in the knife.
I rate it higher than you do. I put part 1 at a 4.5 and I put part 2 at a 5 out of 5.
I mean, I thought it was small margins at that point. Like, I could easily say that would be happening because it's a very good film.
It's like,
both are.
They're so beautiful. They are so well acted. They are so fucking visually like entertaining and visually rich, and you know the story is sublime and like what it's trying to say. I love a narrative like this where it's trying to say shit. This is why I was saying earlier about why I like that they've changed it, that Chani's against them. I love
that. Makes sense. It's a good change.
It's almost like the entire movies, like they're like, we, by the way, like just for the record, like Paul's got issues. Like, you might know why I love this guy, but it keeps showing you things happening. You're like, oh, but you know, his family get fucking betrayed, and you know, oh, it's good that he's getting these freedom fighters on the go, but the movies keep going, by the way, like, he's fucking remembered that, like, he might be justified, but he's not going about this the right way. Like, he's picking the worst possible options, and then by the end, when it's like, fucking surprise, he picked the worst possible option, like, things have went totally to fuck. We tried to warn you about this, and you're like, you did try to warn him about it, and he is bad. Oh, but I like him, but like, I get him, but like, he is bad, and like, this is bad. He is
bad.
It's like a much, someone said they were annoyed that Paul was going to be a bit like Eren Yeager, and a bit like that, like, oh god, it's like a bastard man who commits genocide, but we love him because he was like in the know, and that means we approve of his actions. And I'm like, don't compare. Eren Yeager was terribly written. Paul Atreides is great because, like, yeah, you don't really support him. We joke about it, but I'm like, at the end, I'm like, fuck, he probably shouldn't have started a religious war where he flings nukes. I
don't think we can support anyone doing that.
Like, literally. And the fact he's constantly like, well, fucking, if I must just go south and start a holy war, I don't really want to, but I'd probably just will anyway. I'm like, you literally didn't look for really any other out. You constantly either avoided it or like...
Aye, everyone in the world seems like controlled by the prophecy. Like,
yeah.
Even the fact that Paul sees the visions and they never quite go the way the visions are. Like, should surely lead you to believe that, like, oh, I might have some sort of, like, control over this, or, like, how I act in these ways. But that's not the case.
And he's just so much of like a slave to, like, well, I just know that these things will, something of this right will happen.
And
like, I need to drink the water.
His vision for South isn't him walking. It's his mother walking. So, your mum going south starting the war, bro, it's like, no you.
That's a really
you
good
could
point.
go south yourself, and it'd be fine.
Your mom's fucking an issue, and she just is an issue.
Aye. A great issue.
I love her. I love her in 2. She's Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica. Like,
yes.
That's what I'm saying. She's like, a lot of people say she's like pitch perfect casting. I would agree. She's
top notch, man.
She's so amazingly like warm and like, oh, I love her and like I appreciate what she was going for in the first one, but then in the second one it's like she feeds into these like these delusions. Do you know what I mean? It's almost as if like everyone sort of develops these rough egos about it. Like Jessica is a bit like in the first one she's just a bit like, you know, oh, I gotta get away, I'm so sad about what happened, and like, you know, your father wouldn't have necessarily took revenge. Although I obviously hate what the Harkonnens did, maybe we should like go off planet or whatever. But then as these things start to happen, she's like, oh well, like that's Muad'Dib shit, like Paul's like getting this fucking people together and Paul's like killing the fucking Harkonnens.
Well, it's got like,
and it's self-perpetuating.
It's got a few layers because we found out in the second movie, she's the daughter of the Baron.
Daughter of the Baron, yep.
Right? And I feel like a lot of the choices she makes are just out of self-preservation.
There's a bit of that, yeah.
So like, we're just going to kill you if you don't become this Reverend.
That's true. This is, again, when we get back to adaptation and stuff, because that wasn't in the books.
Right.
She just was like, oh, fucking, I'll become a Reverend Mother.
Right.
Like, power, let's go.
I see, that gives it a bit more, like, nice, because, like, just making her just do it doesn't make much sense.
This is where there's, like, and you can see if this is a knock against the movie, that there's some things lost, especially when you miss the interior thought. A really good example is, like, I understand the depth of this because I've read the passage of the book and I've had people talk to me about it, but basically, do you remember in the first part when she's interviewing people to be a housekeeper?
Aye.
And she's like, what is this Chris knife? Jessica goes, it's a maker.
Right.
And the woman fucking pisses herself. She's like, excellent, that's it. Listen, Al-Gaib, we're here. Now, in the movie, the way she says it, she goes, oh, it's a maker. And then the woman just immediately starts crying, cuts her off like I'm fucking screaming.
Aye.
In the book, she's like, it's her perspective for that chapter.
Right.
And she's like, well, fuck, I was going to say a maker of death because it's a knife.
Right.
That's wrong. They just wanted me to say maker because it's the sandworm, and they think they call the sandworm the maker.
Right.
I just happened to use the right word, and she responded quickly, so fuck it, I'll just keep bullshitting. So they kind of lay into a bit more of like the how willing or unwilling Jessica is and like the perpetuating the bullshit. But I feel like a lot of people have
definitely
talked about that.
She's unwilling and then it is willing. I feel
there is definitely, yeah, no matter what, even in the book it's a bit more like she's a bit more like, I'll use the Missionaria Protectiva, which is what it's called, the whole like Bene Gesserit spreading like propaganda. She's like, I'll use it for like getting ourselves entrenched in our own survival. But I think once she realizes, like once she herself starts to indulge, like, you know, Paul could like lead revenge, we could fuck these guys up. She's like, well, how do I twist this for the best possible benefit then? Like, if I can twist this to get some help, how fucking far can we go? And then she also starts to lose it because she drinks the water. Like, that's probably the real twisting point, because at that point she's speaking to fetus. Like,
and it's fetus speaking back, man.
Full Ana de Armas and blonde. Like, again, there's another one. Do you know in the books there's a 5-year time jump and the baby's actually born? Well, that's why there was a little blonde girl in the Lynch movie, because in the books she gets born and she fucks about.
She actually is just a child born.
This one they're like, I will just like have her be a fetus, and I don't really know why. I guess they didn't want to like do a big time jump and have to like age up everybody or like do fucking extra work. I feel like, I suppose not much is lost. It is just a bit weird that Jessica sits and talks to a fetus for a lot of the movie.
I guess, man. But that's what the water life will do to you, bro.
That's about Dune. Like,
that's what Dune will do.
I was going to say, you can tell me in like fucking chapter is Dune that like somebody's talking to a fetus, and I'm like, guys are warm in that book. Like,
I get it, bro. Damn. Like, okay.
But yeah, I still like, yeah. Well, what I was going to say was like, a lot of people are moaning about the lack of the details, but when you remove details like that, or you shift something about like Jessica being coerced into being that, I think it just manages to flow the narrative of the movie. I think what my main takeaway is, the more I've been thinking about the Dune book and the Dune movie and the situation, is that I think the movie almost is a completely different beast than the book. From what I've seen and heard, I almost feel like I like the movie more. I think it just has a really great flow to it. And that's the thing. The movie does, even from 1 to 2 in the whole experience, it has this really great narrative flow.
Right.
And whether adding or removing stuff in the book would have helped or hindered it, I just think what Denis went for, what the script calls for, has a excellent, just like on like pace of like the events, character development, like fucking thematic development. I need to read the book to say definitively one's better than the other or comment. I just, from what people are telling me about the book and some of the things that they added and removed and some of the things they changed, I'm like, all I know is every change I see
seems better.
It seems either better or it seems to have just fundamentally buttressed this experiment.
Right.
Like, every change seems to have at least been part of, like, deliberately to help the flow of this particular one.
Right.
Like, Jessica being sort of coerced into being it makes her slightly more innocent. It gives her a degree of sympathy before she gets worse. It gives her slight more relatability, but she's still going to do bad things. Because that helps you balance it a bit more. Then maybe in the book she had a lot more time to be in and out of conniving. There's a whole fucking subplot in the book about them finding out that there is a traitor in the part 1 era. Like, Jessica gets like a tease that there's a traitor, and also Thufir, the main tat, who there's the one big slight against these movies. They cut out pretty much all of Thufir's scenes for one. Or like they trimmed him stone in one, and apparently they even had him for two, and they just cut it out anyway. The guy disappears. Did you notice that? He just disappears.
Yeah.
He's gone. And he had like a fuck ton of shit to do in the book. Stuff that I don't know. Like the problem is though in the book, he basically like thinks Jessica. He gets a fake like, oh by the way, there's a traitor and it might be Jessica, but it's from the Harkonnens.
Okay.
Like to try and sow discord. So they spend the whole first half of the book kind of beating each other's souls a wee bit.
Right.
And then he sort of doesn't ever get told otherwise and just believes it was Jessica's the traitor the whole time. Right. So he ends up kind of working with the Harkonnens to get back at her.
Okay.
And until the end when he sort of like fucking fucks with that Baron and doesn't kill Paul. And I'm like, I don't really know what that would have added to the movie, to be fair, although I'm just sad that Thufir disappeared.
I guess.
The point I'm saying is that there's this entire subplot about like Jessica and her own like mental thing and her relations to these characters that was kind of cut.
Right, yeah.
And there's a lot of talk about stuff that was cut for these movies.
Right.
Because there is a bunch of scenes. Gurney playing his little instrument. Mind fucking Josh Brolin sings in the second one. In the books, he just sings all the fucking time, and they even recorded a full song scene for the first one. Just cut it.
Okay.
There's a great scene apparently before the fall where like Yuri and Jessica talking. It just kind of gives them more character, and I think it's an adaptation of something for the book.
Right.
And people were like, that would have been cool if it was in. And he's like, I had to cut it for whatever reason. And those are the one things where I'm like, oh, like I trust Denny because of what I've said up till now. But I'm like, God, those deleted scenes are really. I would have loved to see them. And I'll never get to see them because he said he's never in his life going to ever release the deleted scenes.
I mean, that's fine. That's his prerogative.
I was going to say, that is his prerogative, but fucking hell, bro.
Oh, you're just sad because you want more of the movie.
Yes.
Not even that it would enrich the movie
Correct.
itself. Just that you
Next
want
question.
more of it.
Like, I want to see more Dune. Are you kidding me?
I know. I think you kind of hit on like adaptation as an art form there. Like,
yeah.
I
mean, have we talked about much adaptations? I mean, I guess like the Marvel stuff's one thing, but this is like straight up we're going to do
Yeah, the Marvel stuff's one thing because there's a lot of like time between things that you could infer and
plus that's
change.
definitely just definitively adaptation because they're creating their own universe and story, and that's what I'm saying. This one is kind of doing it, but it's weird because it's much closer, and
it's like a bit different Marvel because it's its own adaptation separate from the adaptation which that can interact with because of the multiverse and whatever. But if you look at like Lord of the Rings is another popular adaptation, there's like a full character cut for the books.
Oh, aye.
That's just not in the films.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I've not read the books, so I don't know how better or worse that would be, but the movies are pretty fucking good.
Yes.
So I don't think it needs it.
And this is, I think, what you're saying I'm hitting on is, honestly, Lord of the Rings is like Dune, where it's a bit like, well, the Dune movies are so fucking fantastic.
That's where they've done it right. Something like The Dark Tower's awful, because they try and do like 5 of the books at once, and they start in like the 6th book, instead of like, I don't know, the first one. Maybe, that might be an idea. But this one, I get the changes, like you're saying there, they just seem to like make it better. And the book people, I guess, could be upset with it. But the answer that's always been the book's still there, bro. You can go read the book if you want.
I've been a big passionate believer in that. I've never been like, and I mean, you might count me on this, but like I've always believed that with adaptation, you need to like, just because one exists doesn't hurt the other. It's like the Disney live actions, like whether they are shit or good or that, like don't be like, oh man, they're remaking fucking Beauty and the Beast, like that's a nightmare. I'm like, yeah, do you know what? Just go watch Beauty and the Beast then.
You could, yeah. I get that like book one's a bit different because like for someone to go and watch movies, much easier than for them to go and read a book.
Yes, that's something I do agree with a lot. This has been hitting me recently in a very particular way in regards to Star Wars doing comic adaptations of other media. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah.
They're currently releasing
Mandalorian.
Like Mandalorian, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and at the same time an adaptation of Thrawn Alliances.
Right.
And it's so much different to like Alex who Star Wars Explain's been reviewing them. He's like, what was the point of this? Like, what was the point of me just reading the Mandalorian and reading Obi-Wan? And also the Obi-Wan, I can't remember the guy's name. You might know him, but he traces. All he does is trace real drawings.
Right.
So this fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi is diabolically bad because all he's done is just traced like the live action show, and it looks ugly as hell because he's just tracing like really like most of the characters are like, and it's like it's just the episodes. But then the Thrawn Alliance is like, well, you know, you can talk about what they take for the book, but that was a book we've imagined but we've never seen, so it's nice to have a very concrete, realised visual representation.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, that's I suppose. The Disney live action ones, I've always wanted to talk to you a bit more about this, but I always thought about doing an episode, and we probably will come back around. But
like adaptation as a whole,
like adaptation, especially when it comes to like live action and stuff. I want to make one point clear now, which is like they're odd because it's depending on what you're doing and how you're doing it and when. We knew I could watch Cinderella, 2015, fucking amazing.
Right,
I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was great. It was the same sort of base story and base themed, like, you know, sort of princess energy, but it was just realised in a much more grand fashion in the live action, like sort of like large balls and like large like castles, and they added stuff that was just sensibly parallel to what the original story was. It doesn't take away. A couple more scenes with the prince and giving him a name and giving him personality. That does nothing really to hurt the original. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm not saying, what I'm trying to say is I do separate that in the original, but compare that to like, there's a lot of like feelings about, I'm a lot fairer in the live actions than most people, but I kind of get the angst with them. There's a lot of feelings about like Aladdin and like The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and that.
Right.
What I'm finding is that the biggest issue with those is that, for example, Beauty and the Beast isn't really that old. They're doing a live action Snow White. I don't think it'll be good, but it's a lot more worthy they've got a live action than like Beauty and the Beast. Because Snow White is from like the 30s, the 40s.
Aye.
Beauty and the Beast was the 90s.
Right. I mean, I don't know why they did it just in order, I guess.
Me neither.
That seems to be just picked
They
at
seem
random.
to be chasing just like what's like high, good and profitable and what's like popular, which is why we're getting live action Moana, which is a fucking terrible idea because Moana came out yesterday. And what I'm saying is that like the live action remakes worked the best when they were just they were reshaping elements of something long ago. Like Cinderella is very fucking old, and I'm not saying it's outdated or like has tropes or shit. I mean,
they were made to be timeless.
They were made to be timeless, but it's like if you're going to take something for that long ago and add to it, then it feels better than like we're just going to do Beauty and the Beast again because nothing's really changed about our sensibilities.
Right.
Movie making sensibilities have changed since Cinderella. They've not changed that as much since Beauty and the Beast, and they certainly haven't changed that one since Moana. Like Disney could put out a movie the Moana that will be the same as Moana.
I could see you arguing Beauty and the Beast. Like I think the 90s has had some innovations and change, but
I suppose it's
name
different.
them,
but compared to like the gap between like 2015 and Cinderella and like 2018, 2017 or whenever Beauty and the Beast came out, like 92.
It's much shorter.
And because that's what I'm trying to say. It's not like it feels different. It's just like, see when you add shit to Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, it kind of is like, but those movies are like fresh enough and they were made in a time when like they were just, they didn't need it.
Aye.
Cinderella for the 30s, like, if you want to give a fucking backstory to Lady Tremaine or the princess, like, because back then they wouldn't have, like, that movies just weren't made like that back then.
Aye, right.
Movies are made different now.
Aye.
So, like, I could take I'd accept some of these remakes more, like, much rather. Do a live action Moana in 2044.
Aye,
Do you know what I mean?
Give some
Cyberpunk
time.
2044.
Bro. Give
It's
some
a
time to
weird,
breathe.
undefinable thing, and I think I'd like to talk about it more in its own episode.
Right.
But that's my opinion about it.
Okay.
Just that, yeah, like, the older ones, the gap's better because things just are made differently now. So when you reapproach something that's older, that old, and you want to add or change shit, and as long as you go about it in the way that it doesn't detract from the narrative, it keeps that energy. Because that's another good thing. The Cinderella one keeps the energy of the original perfect. It still has that like la-di-da, we're going to balls. There's a magic of dreaming and like love prevails and the wicked stepmother and all that. And I'm not saying the other ones necessarily take away too much, but like it's just there's more to say. A lot of people complain that the live action remakes don't have a lot to say. Cinderella had something to say, which was it's the same thing, but we're just gonna like shake it up a bit, and it's gonna feel fun because it's different enough. You know it's different, and you're like, oh, the original was great, and this just tells that story in a fun new way with extras.
Right.
Again, when you're doing like Beauty and the Beast, when you're doing Aladdin, nothing really needs to be changed because those films were made at a time that when they were made, I mean, this is Disney Renaissance. That was Disney at its peak.
Right, aye.
Disney didn't need to do better than they were doing at that point. They were doing the best they were doing. And so, yeah, I'll leave it at that because I could keep going in circles and I've got a lot to say. It's to drive that back. So, like, for adaptations of like stuff like Dune and that, so weirdly enough, it's a different sort of breed, I guess.
Right.
I don't think about how old this book Dune was. I just think about like people liked it. It was a good story back then. We want to do a movie now. It's different for like Dune because as you say, it's a book. It's going from something that didn't have a visual like thing to it. So when you try to draw things for adaptation, you're always going to disappoint because people are always going to like have their own opinion about it. Like, oh, I imagine this.
Right.
Whereas like it's different to say like if you do a live action remake of a Disney film, that's like, well, I can watch the old one. And I'm like, well, they didn't do it like that in that one.
Right.
It's weird like that, but also I'm not really getting to my point. But what I'm trying to summarize is that like they had a point with say like Cinderella, and they had a point with Dune.
Right.
They have the same style of like a good adaptation of something needs to add or change stuff to fulfill a point, and as long as that also benefits the structure of the thing itself.
Right.
I don't necessarily need you to show me a deep level of love and affection for the book and like the original Cinderella movie. At the same time, I kind of would expect you to do the shit they did. Like, if you're doing an adaptation
Right.
and you're just going to, like, blatantly shit on the original, I'll be angry. But
Aye.
I love Dune, and I love this live action Cinderella for the same reason, which is so weird to say.
Right.
But it's because what they do really takes what it needed to from the original, and at the same time contributes to making the product that is being created much better.
Right.
That's what I was saying about the changes from the book to the movie Dune 2 help, or the Dune in part 1 and 2, they help make those movies and those stories like work so well on their own.
Right.
And the same goes for that like Cinderella situation. Every change they make really benefits that version of the story while taking the essentials from the original. You're getting the original and you're getting a bunch of extra stuff that feels like it works within those confines to create a very expertly woven product.
Okay. I mean,
I'm sorry that I took a while to get there, but
that's okay, you got there. I think all adaptation is like to the whim of whoever's adapting it. So Denise obviously had like a very ideal, this is what I get from Dune. When I read Dune, this is the story I see in my mind. So this is what we got, and we quite liked it.
Yes.
I don't know how much we can speak on it because I think we both have very limited knowledge of it. But like something like The Shining, right?
Okay, yeah.
Famously, not a great adaptation.
Yes.
But famously, a great film.
A great film, yep.
So what would you say to that? Is like Stanley Kubrick's obviously read it and thought, I like some of the things here. If I was to do a movie, I'd do it this way, and it's totally different. And Stephen King's like, I don't fucking like any of this, but it still gets made, and it turns out it's amazing. What would you say to something like that?
Well, that's a really interesting point. Now, this might sound a bit childish and selfish. Now, I think when I look at adaptations, I refer to what I said a minute ago as my base. Like, I'd want you to take the essentials and make, like, you know, not spit on it too much.
Aye.
The thing is, though, right, Chris, The Shining's very good.
Right.
So it's a bit like, I don't think they shouldn't be made like that, I guess. I think if you're going to do it, just make sure you're going to do it right.
Right.
I mean, I suppose I don't know what Stanley Kubrick's opinion about that film was as it was being made, but like, I mean, here's the other thing though. Like I still feel like there's enough of the original Shining in the movie, but I guess they changed these things, they changed the thematics. So I suppose I guess what it is like you took a risk there, and it paid off because it was so good.
Right.
Well,
what about Clockwork Orange?
What about Clockwork Orange?
I'm pretty sure there's some changes made to it. I think they changed the ending.
They changed the ending.
But I think the author said that he liked the ending.
Yeah.
He quite liked the movie.
Oh, you have really put in a good
again,
thought.
we can't really speak to it a lot because
I've
not seen Clockwork Orange in ages. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I've never seen it, but I really should.
I've
watched
looked
extensive material about it. I would really recommend. This is a perfect time for me to really plug Dominic Noble on YouTube, who does literally like an adaptation, like, you know, like book to film, or like he reviews things. He looks at them on what did they keep, what did they change, what did they throw away, and then like there's some other does like other fun ones, like what did they like add if they really added a lot. There's a really good one where he did was it Chronicles of Narnia? I think he did. He had an extension because Lord of the Rings did it. Because like, after Lord of the Rings came out, a lot of things were influenced by it. So we're gonna add a bunch of sweeping shots, and we're gonna add a bunch
Lord of the Rings did it.
Because Lord of the Rings did it. Lord of the Rings was amazing. Do you know what? No, but listen. Even if I'm not saying it, I get what you're saying.
I think the theme could be that Stanley Kubrick just changes things and adapts
it. Changes things, and they're very good. Maybe it's about, fuck if Stan does it. The rule is adaptations, do what you can to keep accurate unless you're Stanley Kubrick.
Exactly. Maybe he's earned it.
I guess, do you know what? Maybe we need to separate, like, opinion and also just the factual reality of an adaptation.
Right.
Basically, well, first off, how much stock, fucking throw it back at you, but how much stock do you put in an adaptation being as accurate to something as it is? Like, you're asking me, like, I feel if you're going to adapt something, the best adaptations are ones that take enough from it to really impart the same visual language, metaphorical and textual language.
Right.
But if you're going to change anything, as long as it bolsters, I mean, the best adaptations maybe the ones that don't need to change anything. You just adapt it. That's the same thing. But then maybe I guess there's elements to be like it's just the same thing.
Too safe.
Like Dune or like fucking. I hate that this is my fucking pinnacle.
Oh my god.
Disney's live action Cinderella.
Unbelievable.
They bolster the original text in ways that make your adaptation fucking different enough but good enough. The Chani change is exceptional. It's so perfect for what the story's trying to say.
Yeah.
It's so different for the books, but in a way that makes sense. Because, like, I mean, there should be something in that maybe speaks out against it. And it's even better that it's Chani because, she loves him, but she can't stand this shit.
Aye.
Excellent. Then, otherwise, you're just taking a risk. But then that's just my opinion. My
Right.
opinion is you're taking a risk. If you're going to take that risk, I guess back it up. Clockwork Orange is very good, but that is mostly the same thing, just with a different ending because you just wanted to say something different. The benefit there is that, like, well, I mean, it's the same thing with Shining, where, like, you're trying to say something concrete, and that thing sort of draws on what was in. Because the Shining book and movie, they aren't so different in a way that they're functionally indistinguishable. Like like they say similar things, don't they?
I honestly couldn't say.
I don't know. Maybe
I
meant to watch this.
I haven't read it.
Clockwork Orange mostly says the same thing. It just reaches a different conclusion.
Yes.
But it's still, those conclusions both of the time draw on what was said in the film.
Right.
So I think that works perfectly. If you want to take that risk, go ahead. Whether the author doesn't like it or not
is up to the author then.
Yeah, we've talked about death of the author and like that in the past, and I'm a bit like an author's interpretation should be relevant.
Definitely.
But in this I'm talking more about the grander cultural one. In a direct situation of, well, I'm an author and you're going to adapt my work, I think if you're going to not do what the author said in an adaptation, you just got to make sure you know what you're saying.
Yes.
And also what you're saying makes sense with what you are going to take for the adaptation.
Yeah.
Don't just adapt something like... I think people have shat on the Fahrenheit 451. Is it 451?
Yeah. Ray Bradbury.
What?
Ray Bradbury.
Yes, Ray Bradbury's one. They've shat on the
Amazon.
Yes, the one where I was going to say basketball, but it's not basketball.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yes, that's the joke. Space Jam and Your Legacy.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan's like one. I think I've heard a lot of people kind of talk shit about that because it's kind of just like it meanders too much and it changes so much for it that it's a bit like
right.
It's just kind of, and what you change doesn't really do much and it's not really fulfilling. So it's a bit like, why bother?
I think like
other than brand recognition, quickly, because who's it, like, depends on the brand. If you're gonna adapt something that people care about, like nobody's like, and this was like 3 or 4 years ago. Who's been like, oh fuck, I better watch that new Ray Bradbury fucking adaptation because I'm a Ray Bradbury head.
Well, I think like those are a bit different because it's adaptable in the same way Shakespeare is, in that adapting it for the times is very good most of the time.
Well, yeah,
because it's a new way to look at the story.
Yeah,
that's so encased in like traditional storytelling means that like you can't really change a lot of it. Like the beats will stay the same.
Okay.
The end goal will stay the same.
Okay.
It's just everything around it's different.
That's a really excellent point.
Do you get me?
Yeah.
Something like
Anyone But You, starring Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell.
Fucking hell. Something like I think if you are adapting it, to do exactly the same thing is too safe. So there has to be some element of risk, and I think most directors or someone adapting something would have that sort of like confidence of, not necessarily I could do it better, but something like, oh, here's like a cool spin I can add to it. Here's
I
my
have something
voice
I know
to
I
it.
can say based on that text.
Exactly. So having something like that is important to me. Not completely disregarding the original source is obviously important. Something like I don't think Stanley Kubrick's way of doing it is actually the way I would like people to adapt things, but it's obviously worked out there.
How so?
So
just like actively changing shit, like, well, this is not what the end of the book said, but I'm just going to say something completely different.
Yes and no, because in the end it has worked out, so there's obviously some sort of benefit to doing that at times.
The problem is those movies are good.
Exactly.
If it wasn't good, we'd be like, oh, fuck, I should have changed it for the book.
Again, I'll point to the Dark Tower where it's obviously not worked out.
Yeah.
They've changed a lot and structured and changed everything completely. That's not worked out correctly.
Yep.
That could be either a fault of the director, the studio getting involved, or just the script in general. Or the fact that the Dark Tower is also one of those unadaptable things. But I think it's important that you stay close enough to the source material that it's not unrecognisable. Something like the way Neil Gaiman adapts the works of Neil Gaiman, which is probably a bit of a cop-out answer because it is Neil Gaiman adapting Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about how close or how far away an author to the works is.
But Neil Gaiman says things like, well, I'm adapting it to the screen, and that means I have to make it for the screen. So it's a completely different way of making the story.
Yeah.
And that's very important that like you understand that, for example, you can't do internal monologue that well in film.
Yeah.
You can do it sometimes.
Exactly the David Lynch one,
but it's normally extremely exposition heavy and it's a bit boring most of the time.
Yep,
There's ways you can probably make it interesting, or you can shorten it down and try and bullet point the stuff. That would probably work. But most people just ignore it completely and they try to do it with like a look, or they try to do it with visuals in a different scene to kind of get the point across.
Yeah. Show don't tell.
Exactly. So I think that's where the perfect adaptation exists.
Yeah.
Is that just get Neil Gaiman to write everything and then get Neil Gaiman to adapt it and it'll all work out.
You're saying Neil Gaiman's The Sandman, now streaming on Netflix, is the perfect adaptation?
It's definitely, well, I don't know if it's I mean, it probably is, let's be honest. But it's...
You know more than me, you've read The Sandman.
Yeah. It's not perfect because it's missing stuff, but it's also adding stuff. But I don't.
That's exactly what you're saying. Like, are the things that's added
Exactly.
and removed helps the product like work as a product as well as an adaptational product?
I think I'd need to revisit both to know if it's adding or taking away. I would certainly say that I very much enjoyed my watch of The Sandman Season 1 and my read of The Sandman Season 1.
And as someone who's not read, there's a thing to be spoke to about people like me.
Right.
I've not read The Sandman, but I watched The Sandman.
So this is your
and
way of experiencing it?
This very beautiful experience. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was exceptionally good.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said of that, actually. It's a very...
Well, that's the benefits of, like, the fact that this has been adapted so well. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Is that now people either have the choice to go and read the book and see how different it is and either hate it or love it, or they just stay with the film and think this is a fantastic adaptation of this book.
Yeah.
The way that Game of Thrones season 1 through 5 or whatever it is, wherever it gets bad, I don't think it really gets bad to 7.
Season 2.
Wow.
Season 1, I think season 1 through 4 are like the best.
Or we'll say the way House of the Dragon has adapted the book, and everyone. I know. But to a better extent, everyone's like in agreement. This is actually a really good adaptation. If you want to just watch this, you'll get the gist of it, and it'll actually be really good, probably.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way everyone at the minute is saying Dune is, and I agree completely.
Well, yeah. Do you know what? I've got so much more I could say, but I do want to do even more in an episode because this is such a fertile ground. And we should.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about like House of Dragons. Are a really great thing to talk about
Yeah.
because the text it's adapting from is like a whole thing. So
yeah.
I'll leave it there because I don't want to spoil a whole episode that we could do on this.
Right. There's lots of adaptations that have existed throughout the years.
There's so many ways to go about it. There's when you do see something, when you don't see something,
Yeah.
like when you have stuff to base it on, when you have prior adaptations. I mean, obviously a lot of people are like kind of like investigating the whole like David Lynch is doing versus Denis Villeneuve's doing.
Yeah.
Like, is he even going to care? There's like a thing about how Dominic Noble specifically his video was about like the Baron like goes for like or was it Dominic Noble? Was it someone I watched mentioned like the Baron goes for like a black goo bath in this after he gets like poisoned.
Yeah.
And it's like that's not really from the book. So like, is that a reference to the Lynch one where he's kind of obsessed with black goo?
Who fucking
like,
knows?
Could be.
It seemed like a health bath of some kind. I don't know.
It's basically like
Spa?
fucking full Star Wars like Bacta. I agree
Aye.
with like most of the time it was just an excuse for Denis to do the Apocalypse Now shot,
Fair.
which it works exceptionally well because it's like Apocalypse Now, like
Bald man.
I get it, I get the reference, like
Right.
bald man, bald.
Apocalypse Now. Leo. That's him.
Congratulations, Baron Vladimir Harkonnen. I diagnose you with bald. Do an Apocalypse Now or grow some hair.
Baldma.
But no, you surmised it perfectly. I mean, because it really is. You watch Dune, you get enough of the picture. When I hear people talk about these changes, it's like nothing really would have added or took away. It's not like it's fundamentally different. It just would have expanded it. In a book, you can do that because you've got so much more time and money and space than a book. Well, not as much money, but you know what I mean. Though, like you've got much more real estate in a book.
Yeah.
If you take those things away and it still says pretty much the same thing, I'm like excellent. And I do want to read the Dune books now because I'm like, yeah, this is fucking amazing. And if you tell me, yeah, the Dune books are pretty much the same, there's just more to it, and I'm like, oh, cool, more Dune.
Great.
So let's take a dip for the story for a second. Let's look a bit over quickly, because we've talked heavily about story stuff and logistical. We'll do some praise for you mentioned Hans Zimmer's score.
Big Hands.
Hans is really fucking firing on all cylinders with this one.
Big Hands makes music.
Doesn't
he?
I'm sad that they don't use Toto's Big Battle.
We both arguing. It's to the film's detriment. Let's be honest.
I was gonna say it's like it's a 4.9 for me. It would be a 5, but
Damn.
he could have used it. He could have riffed that. Would have been fine with it.
Absolutely. Just a wee flair, a wee motif. Would have been fine.
I think almost the problem is it's just maybe a bit too heroic.
Potentially, it's a different kind of vibe because in David Lynch's Dune, we're not really getting By the way, Paul is definitely a genocide.
Yeah, I don't
Do you know what I
really
mean?
remember ever at any point in the David Lynch one being a bit like, oh man, maybe Paul's an issue.
He's very much the hero.
Aye.
In no uncertain terms. In Denis Villeneuve, he's definitely you're a bit of an issue. And we probably shouldn't be doing this if we were you.
I've said that the Baron and the Emperor, they're almost not even villains, they're obstacles.
For
Paul is the villain.
Yeah.
It's just he has to, how he overcomes these obstacles are shaping how he's panning out, and he's not making the best choices.
Nope. He's not.
You're an issue, sir.
Yes. And the other houses agree.
The other houses apparently agree, aye. I kind of want to know more about them. I don't even know what their names are.
I think that's 3, right? That's
I was going to say, it
Messiah.
must be like the later books probably get all over the joint.
Aye.
Hans kicks off. The music is still great, though. The main theme, that main, fucking,
yeah.
Akira, that, main sort of, I guess I'd call it a leitmotif.
Screaming
but
women.
It's great. It gets it perfectly. And I mean, I think two's got a better score than one as well. I remember so many moments in
I
two.
couldn't even really say. Music again is not really a thing I'd noticed first time. It's like
I
second or
suppose.
third time vibe, except the Batman because it was so overpowering.
Oh my god.
Something like that. So I can't. I mean, this is Ewan's bag. He's in the bag here.
I'm a musical guy. Yeah, I'm a very
He's in
music orientated. I remember certain songs for this just like as it was going on, and it's the ones that
Yeah.
people are coming back to anyway. It's about
Right.
like, oh man, see when you think of Oppenheimer, you think of that one bit for Oppenheimer's
Aye.
music. The main two bits I think of are the one ride, which
Right.
just has this very much like sort of like aggressively building like semi-triumphant, but again because it's like moving further along, it's like the way they use the instruments are a bit like and there's also, I believe the song might be called Arrival. I think the song is called Arrival. I'm
Right.
pretty sure. I don't know when it plays. I thought it was when Fade has his fight in the arena,
Right.
and if it's not that song, it's a similar song that it's when Fade's in the fight in the arena, and they use this like in the Harkonnens in general use this very much like pounding sort of drum in this like.
I really like
like,
the drums.
I love the drums.
You know the ones
I
it
love
does
a drum
like
more than any instrument. I
it
think.
does like 2 or 3 really quick, and then it's like quiet for a bit. I like that one. I don't know where that plays. That one.
No, I know what you're talking about though. I love it because drums build up such an impact. They add such a fucking boom to the moment, and I love the Harkonnen one. The constant drums. It's very oppressive. It's very much, but it's foreboding in the best way. Hans knows how to pick his instruments. He knows how to deploy an instrument for its bass level. Like that drums, a drum beat will sound oppressive when applied to a negative person, but he seems to just pick the right drum as well. I feel like Hans Zimmer's like, I went to fucking Australia and found this type of like special drum that the Aboriginals used to make this exact sound. It's a bit like when fucking Bear McCreary showed up in the God of War score by Hurdy-Gurdy.
He was just playing one.
I was like, holy fuck, the Hurdy-Gurdy sounds amazing. It perfectly works.
Time travelled, went back to the Vikings, right? And they said, use this.
Did
and I
they
was
not
like,
have like
man,
big horn thing at the Game Awards performance?
Aye.
And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, oh
Man.
bro, that's a fucking Viking instrument. And you know what? It works perfectly for the score.
It's just what happened, bro.
Hans Zimmer could be doing the same thing, and I'd be like, aye, makes perfect sense. The guy's a fucking musical, like, fucking
genius,
god.
man. That's why he's so good.
That's why he's the top of his game, man.
That's why he's the GOAT.
That's why he's the GOAT.
That's why he's the listener guy.
This movie is just a bunch of like people doing stuff. Do you know a funny one I saw? I was going to mention like obviously actors are acting. I saw a tweet and it was like Dune 2 is very funny because what was it called, like fucking like Florence Pugh comes on screen and she's the most beautiful woman in the world, and then Zendaya comes on screen and she's the most beautiful woman in the world, and then Rebecca Ferguson comes on screen and she's the most beautiful woman in the world, and then Lea Seydoux comes on screen and she's the most beautiful woman in the world. And you know what they don't mention? Anya Taylor-Joy comes on screen and she's the most beautiful woman in the world. It's a very beautiful movie. There's very, very beautiful men and women in this movie.
Well, there's pretty people in this film. The blue eyes aren't as blue as the Lynch one, which upsets me.
Yeah,
but do you know what? It's fine.
I think they did it really well. I'm surprised how well they incorporated them. But yeah, I think about the Lynch ones. It's like, we're going to give you bright blue contacts
so blue.
and then we're just going to fucking paste the blue on.
I love it so much.
I love it too.
It is extremely blue.
Yeah, the actors are acting, obviously. I said earlier about Rebecca Ferguson.
Yes.
A lot of people are. I think you said no to this when we talked about the car ride back, but a lot of people are saying like Austin Butler Oscar.
No.
I don't know. I maybe need to watch it. I keep seeing a lot of people looking at little clips of him, and to be fair, if you really read into the clips, he is giving great details. But then everyone's giving great details in this movie.
I guess I'd say he's one of the weaker parts.
Oh, you think?
Kind of great movie. It's not bad.
Oh man, he's the worst. He's the worst of a great bunch. So he's only just 4 out of 5 stars as opposed to fucking 5 out of 5. Like,
he's certainly suffering from some Elvis hangover.
Yeah,
for like 5 of the lines he speaks.
I don't want to hammer him because I do feel like there's a tendency to be like fucking like haha Elvis man.
Aye.
Definitely the first line he says, I'm like, that's the Elvis voice.
Literally. So like, and I guess he struggled with that. I don't understand because I've not tried to play Elvis and I've not spoke like Elvis in a year.
You've seen Elvis, haven't you?
Playing. Yes.
Is he good?
He's very good.
So there you go. It's about like for him to have gone that far into Elvis, and then the next thing to be like, man, we need you to play a fucking weird little bald guy.
Exactly. Like, it probably is really difficult, and that's why I had to hire a dialect coach to get him out of the Elvis. That makes sense to me.
But then now the Faye Browther wants him.
Well, aye, that shouldn't happen. No, don't let that happen. He should never go back.
Fucking weird guy.
I'd say just because like I would say like how can you give him an Oscar? He's in it for 10 minutes, and like you could look at other performances for the year. Say if we're giving it to last year's, you'd be like, who is barely in a film that should get an Oscar nomination from like say last year? So the ones that are nominated now, who is barely in it that should have got it? Do you have MD? Like you could
probably
say
something for like Oppenheimer, like Rami Malek.
Right, Rami Malek's in it for 2 minutes.
Aye,
it's a great performance, but he is in it for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So in that way,
does he not deserve like best supporting actor?
Exactly.
Over, like, fucking like.
Exactly, because he's not
David Krumholtz.
he's contributing to the film, but it's not like in a way you have to carry a film to an extent to like get a nomination in that category. I feel, for example, like it obviously leads to self-explanatory. The film's basically about that person,
Yeah.
but like supporting has to be like almost having their own wee subplot, and it gets fully resolved, or it's like they're so impactful to the main narrative that it doesn't work without them.
And yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah, do you know what? Not even to be rude to him, but like, Fade doesn't so much as impact the main narrative. He just he just facilitates it. He's just a part of it. He's a necessary like step. Like,
That's kind of what happens with like, I guess, bigger epic stories, like something like Lord of the Rings. If you take it for example, like Saruman is a villain, right?
Yes.
But we're not really messing with him too much.
Yeah, he's just sort of like there. He's just like there. He shows up, he casts some fucking spells.
That's it. We really just need to get to Mordor to destroy the ring, and ultimately that's defeat Sauron. But Saruman's going to be a dick up until that point. That's kind of what Fed's doing. Whatever his name. I can't fucking say his name. Fayed, right?
No, Fade Routher.
Fade, right? I can't say his name, right?
Nabaran Fade Routher.
Him, right? That's what he's kind of in this film.
Just think of like the low fade, bros.
He's not even got a fade, bro.
No, I was going to say, bro, he's got the lowest fade.
Someone
said he's somehow bolder in this movie than you think based on pictures. He's somehow bolder than bald.
That's mad. Man's sub-bald. He's just in this film to be... Like, you could cut him out of the film and Paul could fucking stab the Baron at the end and it would be less impactful, but it would still be the end result the same.
Yeah. Do
you get me?
I get it, yeah. Like, no, that's not dig at it either. It's just that, like, his functional role, like, it's definitely talking about, like, if we're going to look at Austin Butler's best supporting actor, when realistically he was just, like, not a bit part, but he just was, like, he really had one thing to do it and he did it. Yeah, and he did do it very well. But I
would imagine that he's very much integral in the stories that continue because he's going to have a Wayne that's, like, potentially another Messiah or something like that.
I don't know if that's for the books or not.
And, like, the Harkonnens will continue.
Yeah.
To do shit.
It'll just be a bit
evil, weird shit.
Eating food.
Exactly.
I was going to say, if you want to give him the best supporting actor, you give it to fucking Javier Bardem.
Big Javier Bardem.
He's in it like the whole movie. And
the main man.
He's not necessarily got he's got an arc. His arc is just progressively becoming more fanatical.
I guess, yeah.
I love every moment he's in this. I love it. I love that he had funny moments in this. There was comedy in Dune Part 2.
Yeah, there's some levity to it, yeah.
Which is insane. I
think that's bound to happen. I feel like war movies, if you want to call them that, because it's not really one, but it is.
It's as close to a war movie as I think you can get.
Yeah, I like the camaraderie that they normally foster in the group. So like when they have the wee camping scene and Paul's like not really accepted yet, but then they have like a big cool like ceremonial moment and he's just having a wee joke about it.
Yeah.
That normally is quite good. And it works really well for Stilgar especially.
Yeah, I agree. Even though I'm saying there's content, it doesn't mean I disapprove. I think it's fantastic because this movie it's community building, you know. I love, you know, if you try and take out the fact that the whole like kind of like manipulations, progressive like proselytizing of Paul, even though he starts by saying, no, I don't want to do this Muad'Dib shit, I just want to help you. That it's still like looking in terms of, well, it's nice that he gets integrated, you know, he is learning, he's talking, he's growing, you know, and I like how the movie starts with all these people who don't like him and those guys stick there. Those
and
guys,
then eventually one of them sacrifices himself.
Yeah, like that last year at the start, it was like fucking, here comes the white boy. Like, and by then she's sacrificing herself for him. I thought that was perfect. I loved it for that. I mean, I don't know if I could go through the whole cast and just because they were all just very good. I think I agree with a lot of people. Zendaya really did really well in this.
Zendaya's good. You know, like I just think, I don't know what it is, man. I'm hesitant to jump upon the Zendaya Timmy bandwagon that they're like the greatest actors of the generation because I don't think they are yet.
I don't know if they're the greatest actors. I think they're defining.
But I think they're spoke about in that way.
Well, if you like, a lot of people have they've posted the picture and it's like Timmy, Zendaya, Austin, and Florence.
Right.
Probably are more like this generation's like big hits.
I guess.
I feel like we could be talking about like Timothée Chalamet in the same way, like now, and like I feel like we could talk about like Florence Pugh for like years from now in the same way we talk about like Anne Hathaway now. Not that Anne Hathaway.
Speak about Anne Hathaway that way.
We're not saying like Anne Hathaway is a seminal fucking amazing actress.
Right.
I don't know if we'll necessarily be talking about like Timothée Chalamet in the same way we talk about like, I don't know, like Leonardo DiCaprio, unless Timothée Chalamet decides to also like become a pedo. Hey, controversial. But then I don't know, maybe we will if it gets good.
I mean, very much potentially, yes.
Like I think they are stars. I think they are guaranteed to like have staying power.
I think it's hard to be a star now.
Yes, I think they have really broke it to be like, no, these guys are definitively exceptional, Anytime they're in something, they are great. They will continue to be great, and we'll probably talk about them for a while to come.
I get you to an extent, yes. Definitely.
Whether we're going to say they're the best actors ever from now, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying they're bad actors, but just we only can say that once we've seen the whole breadth of their thing.
Right, yeah.
But in terms of like where they are now, I can tell you they've got cultural staying power in a good way. I'm not looking at them like, oh god, it's fucking Timothée Chalamet. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, he's gonna turn out a performance probably. Florence Pugh, bro, you know what I'm like with Florence Pugh. Not just because she's the most beautiful woman on the whole fucking planet, but she is also just exceptionally great at acting. Consistently keeps me like, yep, she's doing a fucking great job. I don't know if she will be the greatest actress of the generation because I just feel like we need to have seen everything before we can say.
True.
But I can tell you she's the fucking star of the generation. I can tell you I want her in things. I want her performing. I
think that we are too inside to fully judge it in the way that 100%. Like Tom Cruise shows up on a talk show, everybody knows who that is.
Yep.
Timothy Chalamet shows up on a talk show, not everybody knows who that is.
Not yet, no.
Exactly.
But he's getting there. I think he's on the path.
The fact that like we're very social media conscious, we have a lot of like knowledge about it, and we like are kept up to date with it all the time. We see all these people like up and coming actors. Like if you were to say to me, Eben Boss Bacharach is the thing, I'm like, sick, that's brilliant casting. But my mum sees that and is like, who the fuck is that guy? I don't know who that is.
I was say, have you watched The Bear?
Literally, but it's like, no, even that, well, that's the death of TV thing. That's like, obviously she would not watch The Bear because she'd need to go through 3 different subscription services to get to The Bear. To even see it, right? It's things like that that are hurting it in the end. And it's obviously the commercialisation of cinema in a semi-negative way, in that, like, there is no stars now. It's all IP.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
I think I do get that.
So it's harder.
There's recognisable names, but it's not like they don't make cinema like they did when.
But it's recognisable names of the past generation. So like it is Tom Cruise, it is Tom Hanks, it is them. Well, they can sell the movie themselves.
Well, yeah, that's, do you know what, that's what you're saying. By it. That's what I mean by it. Because like you think about like Chris Evans or Robert Downey Jr.
Aye.
But like, I'm not saying they are like, they can't be separated. They've already shown us that they can be separated.
Well, Downey Jr.'s doing a very good job. Well, I don't say good job, but he's doing a job to make sure he's separated from it.
Because he seems like fucking hates the MCU now when he's making comments.
Yes,
people are saying it was facetious, and I'm like, I don't know. The words don't sound facetious. They sound like
it seems like it seems like a move, like it's a career move.
He seems to be at least consciously aware of it. He's like, yeah, do you know what? I'm like wrapped on Iron Man. I'm just gonna make sure that's not all I'm known for.
Aye.
But that's kind of what I'm now understanding about what you're saying, because the stars don't necessarily sell it.
Aye.
Although I feel like the people are trying to capture that.
To an extent, like I think Cavill is getting there.
Pedro, I think, is that now.
If Pedro has, like, he needs, I don't think Fantastic Four's doing it. It needs to be a different thing, because I think people
I feel
are
like
just
they cast him in Fantastic Four because they're like, we should get a big name like Pedro Pascal on this.
But he's a big name.
Well, I don't know.
I don't think he's that big a name.
Maybe
I just don't know what a big name is now.
He's getting a lot. Well, do you know what it is? It's because of the internet. Because what is a big name? Like, maybe your mum doesn't know who Eben Moss Bacharach is.
Aye.
But everybody on the internet knows who Pedro Pascal is.
Well, she knows who Pedro Pascal is, yes.
Well, it's fair enough. But that's because, like, how does she know about who Pedro Pascal is?
The Last of Us.
Well, there you go. Because it's really popular. But also, Zaddy. Like, everyone's on Twitter being like, I want that guy, fuck me. And, like, I'm not just saying that's how it gets. You know what I mean? Like, the dissemination of information through the website might generate
That's why Madonna was popular, you know?
Oh, yeah, aye. Sex sells, bro. The dissemination of information via the internet.
Yeah.
Like, versus who's on the internet and who's not.
Like,
would your mum know people who are like famous because they have a great social media presence and a great greater culture? Exactly. And I'm not trying to throw Canada under the bus with that. It's just like there's almost now 2 sects.
There is definitely 2 sects.
There's the off internet and the on internet, and
exactly.
how each are being proliferated differently.
Aye. You feel like you miss stuff if you're not on it. You feel like you miss stuff if you don't on it.
Yes.
Like it just swings around a bit. It's positives and negatives to both.
And then it's also a bit like, you know, I guess it is like Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks. Both the Toms, but Toms, they were probably cast in movies as well because it was about like, we're going to get names in with this.
Aye.
And that still happens. Like, with all due respect to Marvel, even if the product is amazing, I still feel like Pedro Pascal was cast because he's hot than her.
I mean, well, listen, that's what they have to do.
Yes,
it is a business at the end of the day.
But then how is that not a star then? How is that not like a more modern star? If they're like, he's a big name, we can cast him in something.
Well, I think it's like...
People will come in because he's in it.
I guess. Well... A little bit. It's good. 2 things. Obviously, it's the fact that it's Pedro Pascal. That's some part of it. Obviously, it's the fact that it's a Fantastic Four.
Well, I guess it depends on.
It's like a perfect storm. That one.
I don't know any.
If it was to be cast in, like.
Well, think about this. I'm not thinking about going to see that. Is it Driveway Dolls, the one with Margaret Qualley?
No idea.
There's a one out the new. It's called, I think it's Drive Away Dolls. It might be called. It's
Right.
Margaret Qualley. Like Pedro's in that. Like Matt Damon's in that.
Right.
But I'm not really going to see that because he's in it.
Right.
I'm just a bit like, oh, Pedro Pascal's in this.
Right. Aye.
Marvel's a difficult one to talk about because fucking chuds like us are going to see it because it's Marvel.
Exactly.
And
That's what I
because
mean.
it's like a comic and all
it's
that.
very much in the IP space.
We need to look at movies that wouldn't like. What is the draw of the movie? Right? Is the premise a draw?
Yeah.
Like, or is it the start? And
Aye.
yeah, I don't think that. Other than Nicolas Cage, I think Nicolas Cage, but he is of the old generation. He's just still doing it though.
I
think of all
guess.
these movies that it's like, by the way, an A24 film's going to come out. It's about a guy who fucking is doing a Five Nights at
See,
Freddy's.
but that's different.
By the way, A24 specifically.
Exactly.
I guess.
Because you see A24 and you're like, okay, that is associated with quality.
No,
No matter if it's weird or not, it is associated with
I
quality.
guess, okay, let's say, okay, we're not going to say A24, we're going to say a
Aye.
movie's coming out.
It needs
It's
to be
about a
just
guy
film.
who keeps showing up in people's dreams.
Aye.
Oh, that's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage is the headliner. He's the one
Ooh.
showing up in his dreams. I'm like,
I'm more
right,
interested.
okay, that's Nick Cage though.
Aye.
And you know what you're going to get for a Nick Cage movie?
I'm more interested in that.
Like Tom Cruise.
Aye.
But that kind of feeds your point because, again, no offence to them, they might still have it in the current era, but
Aye.
they're from the past era.
Exactly. Yeah.
I didn't want to go see Wonka because Timothy Chalamet was in it.
I,
In fact, I didn't want to go see Wonka because he was in it until he proved me different.
Precisely. I think it's very difficult to define a star in modern times. It was much easier in the 80s and 90s when it was like Arnie, Sylvester Stallone,
Yeah,
Dolph Lundgren. It was much easier to like determine it then.
exactly.
It's so much harder now with the advent of social media, especially.
Yep.
Do you get me?
I actually do really agree with that. Yeah, and it's
And I would say, like, to wrap it back to Dune, films like this are potentially star making. That's why I can't say they aren't or are.
that's a
I
really
would
good
lean
point.
to more aren't because they haven't done enough yet. I think Timothy's best performance was Call Me by Your Name.
Okay,
and
I've
that
not
was,
seen
like,
it, but
ye-
some people would say.
Many years ago, I've not seen he's done bad performances since then.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's picked his projects very smartly, and that's what's led to like the continual growth
Yeah,
of his stock.
he's stepped up and up.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think he's one or two away from being like that. Oh, I'm the prestige guy. Like,
Mhm.
everybody will want me now. Like, I don't think Nolan wants him yet.
Yeah,
I
Timothy's
don't
probably a
think-
hot commodity.
Like, Scorsese might. He's obviously done a commercial with him, but I don't think he wants him for like. I need him for the next movie.
Well, I think at least
Tarantino
for
doesn't want
Scorsese,
him for
I
the
think
next
it's
movie.
like Scorsese he's going to know the movie he's wanting. He's like, right, I make
Aye,
this movie, I get
yeah.
this character. Timmy would be perfect for that.
But that's that. Like, Nolan's like Oppenheimer, Cillian Murphy. He's him.
Aye.
Get him in. It's things like they know already,
Mhm.
but it's like when Tarantino is like, do you know who's great? John Travolta. And like nobody's seen that, and he's like, but I've seen it.
Aye.
Like, they need to have that implanted that I've seen Timothy in Dune 2. Do you know what? He's really good for this. I'm putting him in it.
The only issue is a lot of these people. It's a matter of getting these people like Timothy and like Florence that in more stuff because
Aye.
more and more directors need to be aware of them because a lot of the highest level of directors they're gonna like. I'm not saying he's never worked with kids, especially because he did that like the advert. But
Aye.
when Martin Scorsese's making a film, he's like, right, I'm probably gonna make a film about adults doing adult things.
Aye.
And like, who do I know that's an adult? Brendan Fraser, Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro.
Aye.
Like, he's not gonna think, oh, I need a twink. Let's get Timothy Chalamet in this.
Timothy's too young.
And I'm not saying that's Timothy's gonna be typecast as a twink forever. I just mean like, yeah.
Like,
I
he
think
does have
they
a
might.
youthful appearance.
Once they get even older, and it's weird because they technically are adults.
Of course,
But like once they're in like their 40s and they've really put some movies under their belt, and I'm like,
aye.
that's probably the best time you can really start to see, right, did they hit it? Like,
Aye.
yeah, Scorsese's like, I'm gonna get Austin Butler in.
Yeah.
I think Austin Butler's got a good chance, not because he's not a twink like Timmy, but also he just has got that feeling so far of the guy who can be in movies. I will say I need to watch more things with Timothy in it, but every time I watch a movie with Timothy in it, I kind of just always see Timothy. I suppose Austin Butler's really jumped to it by starting off with a complete character study of Elvis, and they're a fucking bald little freak.
Oh, so you're like in the way that.
In a good way, like when I
In
see
the way
Brendan
that-
Fraser, I always see Brendan Fraser, but I like that.
Right.
And every time I see Timothy, even when he's like, "Oh, is he gonna be good as Wonka?"
Aye.
He's good as Wonka. But like, I think that Austin's really like also going off in a great way because he's like, "Fucking guys get range."
Aye.
Guys like going fucking insane on this.
It's in a way that like I now can't see Jeff Goldblum and not see Jeff Goldblum.
And I love him for it, but yeah, he's
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz. He's just Jeff Goldblum.
Where if you watch like early Jeff Goldblum, you're like, this guy's acting. He's,
Oh, aye,
he's
aye.
doing interesting things.
Christopher Walken as well.
Exactly.
Although that's funny because in this, I actually feel like he's the least like Christopher Walken.
He's very
in a
much
long
acting
time.
in this film. I don't know
Aye,
how they need on it. It's crazy.
it's insane.
Aye, but I think like actors like Austin Butler, they've got like a bit of an edge. Like Austin Butler's gonna be a bit of a villain sometimes. I feel. I can't see Timmy punching Indy in the face. Really, being a villainous guy, even though he's playing like literal Hitler in this film. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah,
But Austin Butler, I'm like, that guy's got a bit of a dark side, and I think everybody kind of is drawn to that, and especially to be like a film star, you need to have a bit of that about you.
Yeah. You can literally play it like and hit the lines.
Aye.
Like, I've watched Austin Butler like mince about his big baldy and like fucking licking his knife, and like, I fucking love just eating people.
It's great.
And I'm like, bro, I'm not saying like you need to do that, but yeah, as you say, they've shown that like Austin's really cut his teeth on some serious like choppy acting. I'm saying he got the opportunity, obviously. Like,
of course, I'm
not saying he's never been in anything before Elvis, but like obviously Elvis was his breakout, I'd say.
Definitely.
I don't really remember what he was in before Elvis.
It's a star-making performance.
Yeah, well, a biopic will always get you.
Needs more.
I'm not saying Killian is not a star already, but like Oppenheimer really fucking hit the nail for Killian no matter what.
Yeah.
I think if you didn't know him before, you know him now.
Aye, well, he's more like, look, TV audiences now, but like the movie, I mean, what movies had you seen him in? He was in Inception for 5 minutes. He's in The Dark Knight. He's in
for 5 minutes.
Batman Begins.
Dark Knight Rises for 5 minutes.
That's
Batman
it.
Begins for a movie.
Literally, that's it. So the movie-going audience hadn't really seen him in a lot, but
Sunshine.
TV audiences,
Who watched Sunshine? Like,
exactly, man. Who the fuck watched
which,
Sunshine?
for the people who did, they're apparently having a great day.
Aye, so Peaky Blinders were like, he's hype, he's fucking great.
I suppose I didn't know him for fucking Peaky Blinders.
Exactly.
I fucking forgot about that.
So everybody who watched TV was like, he'll kill it, don't worry.
Top,
and then when we seen him in Oppenheimer, like, obviously this guy is amazing. Who doubted it?
So it's a character study will always get you some credit because you are so. It shows your chops as an actor. You're so thoroughly committed.
Aye.
Did you ever watch? I'm not saying this is the Star Maker because it just wasn't that big of a movie at the time. But did you ever watch a Fighting with My Family or Fighting with Your Family? It was Florence Pugh was.
Oh, Paige.
Yes, was Paige.
Nah, I've not seen it. No.
I'd kind of like to see it again for the.
That was her like breakout, I'd say.
Yeah, I didn't really see it in a whole lot before that. Although I feel like I remember her being in something before it that made me go, that's
I'm pretty sure like it's like that and like Midsommar are like next to each other.
I think Midsommar's a
They're
breakout.
like very much.
It depends on what you define as a breakout because Midsommar was popular, obviously, but like Midsommar's not a star maker because
not in that
no
way.
One's like not everyone in the whole world's gonna like be aware of like an A24 horror movie.
Aye,
but
like,
it's
no horror movies really birthed a star since the 80s.
Oh, exactly, 100%.
Like Scream maybe, right?
Jamie Lee Curtis, like
exactly, like
aye, Scream maybe, but then I feel like I only know people who Scream.
Well, I guess
like when I think of Neve Campbell, I think of Scream.
Aye, I guess I get that. So like, and that's because they don't make horror movies like that, and the slasher genre, the slasher genre is like basically null and void at this point. So it's difficult to like make stars from that.
Yeah.
I get like It Follows getting a sequel, so like that's pretty cool,
bro.
So like,
those guys just sit and they self-sufficient. It Follows getting a sequel. There's no like going to be a third Happy Death Day.
Probably.
Like folks love that. Screamer loves to keep going despite the executive's best effort to shoot that movie in the foot. I'm sure Halloween will come back at one point.
Halloween probably will. I think we need some more. Like, we're just gonna talk tangent now, but I love it.
No, you love horror. We'll talk you space talk about horror.
All the other franchises need like a spin-off. Like we need a reboot like that, like the trilogy. Like
what Halloween did.
In the end, was an experiment that experimented and done things experimental.
Like a movie.
Especially the third one was very weird. But like the Camp Crystal series, I think is A24. I think it's releasing this year or next year.
I was about to ask about that.
We need like a Nightmare thing. I don't know who's the rights.
Nightmare needs to come back, bro.
Like, obviously, when Stranger Things 4 came out, everyone was like, "This is just Freddy Krueger," and it's literally
just Freddy.
And it is. They actually get Thingy to play the guy. Oh, what's his name?
They
actually get Robert Englund to play.
Get Robert to play. It's the Da. Is it no Vecna's Da? Basically,
they get him to play him, and I'm like, he's just Freddy.
It's just Freddy.
It just is him, right? So
did
obviously,
bitch?
No, prime time bitch. Obviously, Duffer Brothers would be like a cool choice, but I think it's probably like too obvious now. So
at this point, you could probably just have Robert Englund play Freddy again.
Bro, please. He's probably too old. I mean, everything is in a review. He's like, I'd love it. Obviously,
bring
me back for a cameo.
Energy.
Oh, he's so good. I love him.
I think Nightmare needs to come back. I think it's the
Definitely.
only one that's really not. You're saying so? You're doing a series.
I'm doing a Camp Crystal
series.
Like
he's more.
I have no idea what it's about, but they're doing a Camp Crystal series.
Bates Motel.
I think it's A24.
I'll look that up. What
but that's got me intrigued. So like, we need like a horror reboot because like, I mean, I'm saying like that, but like, obviously we hate everything's getting remade and that.
Yeah.
But like, they've been dead for so long, man.
Please. I think the one thing that's good about a remake is if it's something that was great and iconic, and you want to bring it back in a way that is like it's an adaptation, bro. Let's go back to that. It's fulfilling to the original's vision, but distinctly something new to say. Like Halloween was just that good. The Halloween reboot was like, this is. It feels enough like the classics and draws enough like the
But
classics,
it's
but it's reinvented for a modern era, and it does just enough different and new that it feels like a worthwhile attempt.
It reinvented it and it sequelized it.
Yes.
It was a follow on from the first film.
And the thing about, I think horror specifically is best suited to this, because horror's one of those things that is like you don't really need a plot. Like if you told me we're going to do another movie
Well, you'd have
where
a thin
fucking
plot.
Michael Myers kills folk,
Aye.
and I'm revolutionary.
Oh shit.
But just like, yeah, I mean, that works. It's a winning formula.
Aye.
I think it
Gets
depends
asses
on...
in seats.
It's those type slasher films specifically. Scream, I think Scream did so well with its reboots because Scream's another one where like, where Ghostface just kills folk,
Aye.
and we're going to
But
make commentary about things.
Scream was always good originally because it was a commentary on the slasher genre
Yeah, that's
in
true.
the first place.
As long as there's other slashers, Scream will still be good.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, have you watched the new Screams yet?
No, because I think they're obviously doing like they're not very like they're not commentating on like the found footage genre or like any of the slashers
That's
because
what I was
there
gonna
isn't
say.
any to comment on. Do you
I
know
know
what I mean?
that the reboots, the first one that came out,
Yeah.
is like a commentary on reboots, so that's probably good. I don't know what the fuck Scream in New York's about. For all of that's just, oh my god, Scream's on the subway.
He's here.
Scream's in a bodega.
Screaming.
He's screaming, bro.
Fuck.
I think, compare that to something like maybe, you seen The Exorcist, the new one, didn't you?
Yeah.
Would you give it that in comparison to the old ones, and in comparison to like Halloween? And like that coming back?
I mean, that's a good question because it is in that vein.
Because I feel like Exorcist is a bit more too laden in the events of it. The more like lore I think you pile on, the weirder it gets.
I don't really know how I feel about it. I thought it was fine. I wouldn't go as far as like Mark Kermode, who adores The Exorcist and has written books on the subject, who like says that it defecates on the legacy. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I could see that point happening.
Right, so it doesn't like shit on the legacy then. You think it's like...
it might, and I could see where like you're coming from if you hold that belief. I just think it's a genuinely like fine paint by numbers kind of horror movie with The Exorcist like branding on it. I think they're doing a trilogy, so it'd be cool to see where it goes. I guess. It just seemed very like fine. Do you know what I mean? It was very like uninspired. I feel.
Well, that's
like
like
a lot
very
happening.
uninspired. Like that's the thing. I feel like
for example, the Halloween, the David Gordon Green, I think it is, and who's the guy, the curly hair comedian kind of guy?
Seth Rogen.
No. I can't remember, but he's involved as well. They had like a genuine plan. I think the plan probably changed somewhere along the lines because
Halloween Ends was on the plan.
Because I don't know what they were cooking when they thought of that, right? But it had like some sort of idea, at least for the first one, because the first one's solid and everybody likes the first one, to like reboot it and re-energize the franchise. But I don't know if The Exorcist had that.
That just seemed like everybody likes doing reboots. We'll just do a new Exorcist.
Aye, something like that.
Because that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, especially the slasher ones, but these ones seem much better suited to a plug and play.
Right.
Like, I feel like The Exorcist, if you're going to remake that, it's going to be a bit like the situation. A girl, maybe that relies on iconography. Mike Myers killing folk, sorted, easy. Freddy Krueger invading folks' dreams, easy, sorted.
Yeah.
A wee girl's going to get possessed by the devil. We get movies about that all the fucking time.
Yeah.
So what really is an Exorcist reboot going to do? Every movie that came after The Exorcist is like, oh cool, The Exorcist defined it.
Right.
An Exorcist reboot is going to just be defined by the original Exorcist in a way that's like, oh, we're just doing another Wayne gets exorcised movie.
It is its own genre, exorcism films, and there's loads of offshoots and interesting ways to do it that have already been done. I think The Exorcist is like a perfect encapsulation of like what you would think that would be if you just told someone on the street. Whereas like The Exorcism of Emily Rose is a completely different way of doing it, and it's very like looking back at what happened during the exorcism, how that affected the whole family, how we're now dealing with that in this court case, this court drama, which it really is a court drama film.
Right, but yeah, that was about it.
Exactly, it's a completely different structural take of it. So I think there's maybe more fertile ground to be mined or like dug up. But I don't think The Exorcist believers doing it.
That's fair. Do you know what it is?
Go on.
Do you know what it is? It's easy to reboot the films that have got like more basic like slash stuff. I guess it's because when I'm looking at them, like you don't need to draw on much or explain much. I guess it is. It's literally like I said, plug and play a minute ago.
It's like you already know.
Aye, you can make a new Halloween film that's a soft reboot. You can address like Laurie and maybe play on the lore a bit. But as long as you just have Jason killing folk in the same fun, intimidating, scary way, you're gonna win.
It's like when Spider-Man showed up in Civil War.
Yeah.
You know how he got
there. You know what's going to go there.
Like, you know how he got the powers. We don't need to deal with that. It's
we're
fine.
Sorted. And you're happy. Oh, it's Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the more further you go down the horror movie list, it's a bit more like, if you're going to bring that back, there's levels of expectations, but it's like, I guess, what's your expectation realistically going to work with?
Aye. It's like when Prey came out, and it was just like bare bones.
God.
It's just like Predator again,
Aye.
but it's so good you've not seen it in that long.
Aye.
That's exactly what it was.
Exactly that. It was just like, yeah, we know what we're going to get out of a Predator film,
Aye.
but you've also done some new stuff with it to keep it just no feeling weird and old.
Aye.
Cool, you made it work.
Brilliant.
Halloween was the same. Like, anyway, Dune.
Dune.
I think that was a really important and interesting tangent. It was a really great, like, hang about. I don't know how we got onto it.
Me neither, but we move.
But, I mean, we were talking about star shit. We're talking about star shit and then we moved on to horrors. But, I mean, that's all we need to say. Like, the actors are acting.
Yeah.
I think, over time, they'll probably will grow.
Probably, let's be honest.
We can judge the older actors a bit more. Like, Becca Ferguson, fucking firing on all cylinders.
Yep.
Stellan Skarsgård. I think he's got a bit less to do in this movie other than just sort of be angry at things, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
There wasn't any good like scenes like when he confronts Leto in the throne room and the way he kills you. He's saying very simple things, but he delivers it in that. And this one he kind of just spends a lot of time in a bath.
Aye.
And he's like, I'm not happy with your band. I like Fade. I'm gonna kiss Fade. That was improvised. Did you see that?
I've seen that. Austin Butler just had to kiss him
Austin Butler had to go in for mayor.
Do you know what? Fair, bro. Man loves his uncle. Okay.
I'd kiss Stellan Skarsgård as well.
What a beautiful man.
Question mark. But I mean, I like that guy. I liked Harvey Bardem. Really, I liked him quite a lot.
The likeable actor.
I didn't talk enough about Christopher Walken. I've said bits the whole thing, but to re-summarise,
you want him more.
I wish he was in it more, but I don't see reasonably how he could have been because the amount he was in it was exactly what it needed to be for his role.
I mean, I doubt he'd been in it a lot in Messiah. Probably been like a cell, and you'd be like,
I don't even know if he is in it past this.
Yeah.
But then also, like, I will say, I feel like he didn't really have a lot to do. He was much more of a very just an obstacle because he's the guy who says, I don't like the Atreides, take him out. I don't like this Muad'Dib, take him out.
Yeah.
I'm unhappy about the current state of affairs. At least the Baron had a bit more like, squeeze them, Raban, my Dune, my Arrakis.
Aye.
I'm not saying it was, maybe I'm saying it was bland. Again, not in a bad way because for the function of the plot and Paul's character, he didn't need to do more than he did. We already knew enough about him. Like, he wants to keep power. He's going to be conniving. I just feel like everything that was on screen, it was very much just like, I am the Emperor and I'm unhappy about this situation.
He's already had his moment in the first film. Like, that is his time.
Aye.
Because that's his whole driving
which is insane because he physically isn't in it.
Exactly.
So it's a bit like, he's past his actual event and now he's just there to facilitate the continuation of the obstacles that Paul faced.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm a bit like, I don't know what more you could have done with him.
Probably not a lot.
Because in there, I remember in the Lynch one, he wasn't bad in the Lynch one, but again, he was just there to be like, here is my opinion about the situation, I'm not happy about it. Although I just feel like the Lynch one had a bit more like zazz.
Yeah.
I feel like it had a bit more like wah-wah going on, but I think that's because of production design.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I love the production design of this movie. I said to you, like, I'm going to reiterate one issue with this film. I've said a couple things like an issue. This one I think is the one thing that would make me legitimately give it a point under. Other than like cutting out through fear, but again, that was like debatable. This is a problem with the film. And I've told you about this. I'm so angry. Why was the only name card for the main city? In the first movie, they were like, this is Caladan, home of House Atreides. This is Gidi Prime. This is Arrakis. This is Seleucus Secundus. In this movie, they only give one for Arrakeen, which they didn't properly name in the first one, but it did get named. Someone referred to it as Arrakeen. I can't remember when. They don't give any other name cards, especially for the new planet. They don't give Kaitan, which is the home world of House Shaddam. Actually, I can't remember whether the Emperor's house is.
The Emperor one, yeah.
But is his name not a Shaddam?
I've no idea.
Is the Parashah Emperor Shaddam the Fourth?
Could not say.
Carino. House Carino. It's Shaddam and Erlan Carino. They didn't do like fucking Kaitan. I know that's a very petty thing to get angry about, but why would you do that?
I think so. Like
you gave fucking Seleucus Secundus one.
I know. I guess it's because like when they open to those in the first one, it's a sweeping shot like aerially of the landscape.
Well, then do you know how to resolve that? Give me a sweeping shot.
I know that, but
fuck you.
They don't. They have one of Anakin, and that's where the title card shows up. And then Gary Prime. I guess we've already been there.
We've already been there.
So
we've already been to Anakin.
I know, but like I think maybe it's because Anakin might be like a hangover from like when maybe he wanted to do that in part one. Do you get me?
Okay.
And like in part two, he's like, we don't really need the title cards anymore. Fuck them. And we're only people are just going to watch it as one anyway because it's part one and part two. So maybe we don't need Gary Prime again because we've already been there in part one. Something like that. Maybe
but
that's
then if
the
we've
thinking.
never been to Kaitain, like
I know.
Bro,
I don't know why.
You've seen my fucking how the gears of the movie's disassembling.
I see.
The fucking threads are coming undone.
It is falling apart at the seams, June. I'm sorry.
Denis Villeneuve is a hack fraud because he didn't put
fraud.
A Marvel MCU big fucking Queen's title card.
The fall off since Prisoners has been ridiculous.
You see, fucking is like, oh man, like whether it was good or not, I just never ever want to touch Blade Runner ever again.
That is like
that's heartbreaking.
That's his choice, man. And you know what?
We as
that
a fucking
sad.
a planet Earth and a species didn't give Blade Runner enough credit.
I agree. I done my part. I saw it in the movies. I done my part.
I wasn't even into it at that time. I feel regret. I wish I was into it sooner.
That's okay, man.
2049
Don't
was
worry.
sublime cinema. That's such a
was.
fucking good film. That's probably one of the best films I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's a great legacy sequel in a time of shit like.
Two of my top fucking 10 films are Denis Villeneuve films now. Like
Damn,
Dune
man.
Part 2 and Blade Runner 2049.
I'm going to watch them all now.
Bro,
Wait till you see
I watched
Prisoners.
I
Oh
watched
my
Prisoners.
god.
Is that the one with the spider?
Spider? No. That's Arrival. No.
No.
That's Enemy.
Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Aye, that's Enemy.
What's Prisoners again then?
Prisoners is Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, Paul Dano,
Ooh, like him.
the lady from Alien Covenant,
Oh fuck, why can't I remember her name either?
Viola Davis,
Ooh,
the Queen. That's just good actors acting, bro.
I was gonna say. Well, I mean, Denis seems to be up at that.
Yes.
Blade Runner 2049 and Dune Part 1 and 2 are just good
Bro.
actors acting.
Literally, man. Actually, one we hang on Dune, I
Yep.
want to hammer in,
Yeah, let's go.
and it's literally just a wee side point.
Absolutely. Fuck it,
In
let's go.
part 1,
Okay.
there is many visions, but there is a certain vision. We see Timothy Chani back on Caladan.
What, like, so like when they're in the
With the
ship
soldiers.
looking at the aye.
Yes. What's happening there?
Oh, well, I think that.
Is that vision coming to pass? Because in that way, Chani has obviously come back on side.
Well, so, but then you need to remember that half the visions sometimes they do happen and sometimes they happen differently.
That's what I said
Do
earlier.
you know,
They
like
might
Paul
not occur
has
exactly.
the vision of him doing the fucking fight with the Sardaukar and his
Mhm.
mask on with him.
It's not him.
They do the exact same thing. It's just Chan instead. So it's
Exactly.
like, oh. And the whole thing where like Jamis was a friend, but now he's a
Yep.
foe.
Mm.
Someone was like, "Oh, Jamis is going to teach me things." It's like he did actually teach you things,
And
but
the
not as a
visions.
friend.
Exactly.
And what they also has the vision was talking about. So like, I think it probably will still happen. Just Channy won't be there
Damn, man.
because that was the Holy
Florence.
War. That
Yeah.
was like
Aye.
the
That's them
framing
going
on
back.
Caladan.
They're getting the army of Caladan and they're going mad, taking everybody else out.
And I think that will happen. I mean, a lot of people were saying that like that vision, like in regards to like, we know what happens in the Messiah, so that's like a vision.
Damn.
I don't know if it like specifically is like are they specifically going to go back and like fucking kill everybody on Caladan? Hopefully
Aye.
not Caladan. Hopefully Caladan are like, oh yeah, like no, we'll just
Aye,
join
they'll
you
be
anyway
like,
because like
rightful Atreides,
like,
like Emperor, like
we already
thank you.
loved. Well, they talk a lot about how the Holy War's in Leto's name, like,
Right.
Like my,
So
like
they're
the grave
fighting
of my
for
father
the
and all that.
betrayal.
So
Aye.
I'm like, yeah, if you went back to Caladan, like your whole army of Fremen,
And we're
'cause,
like,
like-
the Emperor was a dick. He killed Leto. My dad.
yeah,
I'm
like
now
all
in
the people who are
charge.
there who are already in love with him, they're like, well, yeah, I mean, fuck
Aye,
yeah, I mean,
aye.
fuck him. I know you're at war with the rest of the universe. That's quite shit, but like, I guess we'll join you because we love you.
Aye.
And like whether we want to or not, because we like fiefed them and like we have to because you're like our lord.
Aye.
Because when like
I guess.
this is why I'm really keen to see Messiah and kind of maybe read books to learn more about the other people in the Landrad.
Right.
Like, what are the deal with the rest of the houses? What's the deal with Caladan? Like surely they had to leave people on Caladan. All the
Aye.
Atreides,
Of course,
like
yeah.
capital A, went to Arrakis, but like surely they had to leave people on that Caladan to like keep an
Yeah.
eye on that.
Like fifth in line's
I
probably
was
there.
gonna say like Paul's
Cutting
like
about.
second cousin was probably
Aye.
there.
Just
Jack,
chilling.
he was like, nah, fuck it, fuck Paul, I'm gonna get involved in Landrad
Aye.
as well and go back. And
Actually, a
mental.
side story where he's fighting for the throne on Caladan.
Bro, I think they could do that. There's been a whole
Probably.
bunch of like fucking spin-offs.
Yeah.
Pretty sure there was like a Caladan spin-off, but maybe it is a bit that.
See, could be, man.
Aye, it's the visionary stuff is just good because it
But
is.
that's one we hang away to
it's
ask
part of
because
the
I just
narrative,
wasn't
it's-
sure.
You're like, oh, are these visions going to be trustworthy?
Aye.
How Paul acts in these visions is critical to like how he ends up.
Aye, it's his. It's just how it gives like context to how he's acting throughout the entire narrative. Because he's like, this is, if I do this, it's going to make this happen.
Mhm.
But actually not doing the thing is causing it to happen.
Aye. Honestly, it feels like this is kind of interesting because I think it was an added line, but Duncan's little bit when you first meet Duncan in the first movie, where he's like everything important happens when we're awake. Dreams are just dreams,
That's it, yeah.
and I'm like, do you know what? Honestly, given like how Paul works with his dreams, maybe Duncan was always right.
Aye, he gives too much credence to them.
If Paul had never paid any
But that's
attention,
because of his mother and because of everything
'cause
she's taught him as well.
The whole like he knows, and do you know what? Aye, the whole Bene Gesserit shit.
Yeah.
like-
Like, if Jessica never teaches him the way, is he better? Probably.
Yeah.
Because the grandmother Bene Gesserit, whatever her name is like, you've taught him the way.
What
you doing that for?
Gesserit.
Aye.
That I mean, the whole thing though, this becomes like aware of the whole like the Bene
Mm.
Gesserit manipulations, like
Yeah.
his relationship to like obviously the Fremen.
Mm.
And the whole like the listen Al-Gaib thing is because he knows it's bullshit.
Aye.
And then like his whole awareness of like the Kwisatz Haderach, and I'm like, that puts a lot in me. Like, he's having visions. He's like, well, I've been told I might be the eugenic space Jesus, so maybe
Aye.
these visions have got some credence to
So
them.
maybe I'm him. Aye. That's it.
You
Maybe I'm him.
you think you're the
No,
Kwisatz
I'm,
Haderach?
I'm being Paul. Sorry. Sorry.
Oh, well, that's it. Because I am the Kwisatz Haderach,
Shit, no way.
bro.
Bro.
I am a Menta and a Bene Gesserit, and I drunk the water of life.
Bro, every time you shit, he has the listener guide.
Bro, Graham, you are my Stilgar. And you're just like, bro, as was written. Like,
as was written, bro. Oh,
I think I could ride a sandworm.
probably,
It
man.
doesn't look that difficult, realistically.
Nah, sorry, just get some hooks, you're fine.
I'm on the make a hook lifestyle. All that's left then is to buy the Lego Ornithopter.
That's what's left for you, and yes.
That's the next step on my journey. And if I buy the Lego Ornithopter,
Yeah.
I will start a holy war.
In the name of the Ornithopter.
In the name of that, bro.
Absolutely.
I see a holy war spinning across the universe like an unquenchable fire.
Bro.
Fucking flags raised in my dead father's name, like. It's because we can't get the stock anywhere.
You do it. Because they're only doing this and that's it. No
I
more.
was gonna say, I don't think we'll get like a
There is no Shai-Hulud.
Lego like
on the
fucking
horizon.
a Lego sandworm or like a Lego like fucking I don't know, a big like Giddy Prime fucking like Harkonnen ship.
Oh man, they do like the Giddy Prime fucking Colosseum.
Oh bro,
That'd be Pog.
I'd be Pog
In
guy.
black and white.
I'd get like a
With the
fucking
wee guys like.
a wee fade Routh figure. Oh, you talking about the guys with the horns?
Aye.
Or like
Aye.
weird,
The wee
those weird
bug
fucking
guys, like. Yes.
the drugged up fucking Lego drugged up Harkonnen prisoner 1, 2, and 3. Or sorry,
Bro.
1 and 2 because the other one wasn't drugged.
The other one was not drugged. Uncle.
Oh bro, I loved all that.
That's good, man.
I love that. I love how hard they went with the visuals. I love that we're like, we'll go to Giddy Prime and it'll be black and white because it's got like a fucking black sun. And they've got these weird like ink fireworks.
Aye.
Oh,
Oh,
it's like they just took everything set up in the first one. I'm just going to hammer it more. The only one I just would have wanted to see Caladan again, but that's just because Caladan was really pretty.
It's a beautiful wee Scottish place, basically.
See, that surely it looks like Scotland or Norway or something like that.
Ireland, something like that. Aye. It has some vibes.
Must have been Scotland because those
some
fuckers had
hilly
bagpipes.
Bro, they did. They did.
That's not in the book.
That's Oscar Isaac being like, I need fucking bagpipes in here, bitch. Listen
They
to
were
me.
great, actually. The fucking bagpipe music, and it played again, like when the fucking Gurney went to fight at the fall of the
Bro.
hurricane, and I'm like,
The
oh,
boy.
let's go. I feel that.
Gurney absolutely murked Dave Bautista. Had no
Dead,
chance.
bro. I wasn't in the book either. Apparently the band
Nah.
just like sort of shuffles off. Like we don't
Damn,
actually
bro.
know, we assume he died, but they never actually kill him. But I'm like, alright, Gurney should get to kill him because they fucking killed Gurney's family. It's just
fuck Gurney up. Man.
basic easiness.
Yeah, bro.
Ah,
Pog.
right. I think that's that.
Well, I think so, Ian. I mean, we've done it up. We have spoke about the Dune.
Where
The Arrakis.
like, yeah, I want to quickly say just as a summary that I really appreciate the narrative that Dune attempts to say. I think the you know beware of fundamentalism and extreme religiousness. Beware of like the idea of prophets and what they do for you, but also beware of the people who see these things. You know, fundamentalism as one thing, but also people can misconstrue it. You know, the Fremen having this ridiculous like hero worship.
Yeah.
Is one thing, but also the Bene Gesserit making the Fremen have that is a whole other issue.
True.
And then there's like critiques of like fucking excessive capitalism, you know what I mean? Like the way that the spice trade, they don't really hammer it in the movies as much. People act as if it's not there. I think it's there. But like, you know, the critique of like, you know, the way spice shapes the universe and like the trade is like, you know, this political fucking pot licking and bullshit over like fucking money and all that. I think it's a really, really fucking interesting narrative and I love what they say. I just think it's a really, really cool.
It certainly is. I think there's a danger of saying like religion is bad blanket statement, which I don't think is true.
No, I don't even think that's what they're saying.
Fundamentalism is like definitely an issue.
Yeah, they're not saying like don't have religion. They're saying watch out if your religion involves putting all of your stock in one guy and then following what he says blindly.
Yeah, I think like at both ends of the spectrum, fundamentalism is awful. Probably.
I was gonna say, I think any
Let's
religious
be
person should hopefully, other than fundamentalists.
Well, yeah, because they're fundamentalists.
Oh, I'm going to date this again a wee bit, but you might have saw it on your phone. A new poster for X-Men Next Sevens came out. It's all of the episode titles
got some episodes
with like the fucking dates, and this just magazine cover is amazing.
It's got some things, bro.
I'm excited, bro.
Things are cooking. I'm not going to finish it by the time it comes out. It comes out in season 1.
Of course, there's
But,
a lot to get through.
You know, I'm sure they'll recap me.
Well, hopefully they'll do. They probably might. Look at me like by
The trailer recap me,
here's
so
what
don't
you
worry
missed
about
on Glee. Like, yeah, I'm excited for Messiah. He had a plan.
Sure,
He's like, I want to do the three of them. I
think
I
it'll
believe he's
be
wrote a script.
like 2030, you know.
Maybe.
While.
He said he's got 4 things he's got in the works now and he wants to get like some of them out, including he said he has a secret thing that he needs to get out like ASAP.
Right, okay.
So I don't know what the deal with that one is.
Sure, man.
Also, did you know, I don't know how much they'll subscribe to because they skipped the time jump, but there's a 16-year, I think, time jump between Dune and Dune Messiah.
Right.
So like you might want to honour that, you might want to get like, the rest of the mould.
Nah, just get Timmy a beard, man.
He's made promises. Like
Right.
Florence Pugh was really great in this, but she wasn't in it a whole lot. But
Aye.
she's very important to Messiah, and he was like, Florence said, I was talking to Denis, he was pitching him in the movie, and he said, look, this is an investment.
Aye.
You're not going to be in this that much, but like I
if
will.
we get the
you'll
next
even
one,
more. And she was
don't
like, I don't even care, Denny. I just want to work with you. Like if I'm not even in this much, it'll be great to just work with you.
Fair.
But like I shall be in
Okay.
Messiah even more.
She has to be, man. She's his wife.
I was gonna say there's all just whole shit going on there,
For political reasons.
and if they have kids, like foreshadowing.
Potential.
Yeah, I'm spiced up. I'm seeing
Man is
visions.
spiced. Yep.
The sleeper has
The
awakened.
sleeper has awoken.
Desert
Thy
power.
knife, chip and chatter.
We found desert power.
Desert power. We conquered sea. We conquered air.
Graham.
Yep.
Show them the green paradise. Like show them the
Bro.
paradise, mate.
Lead them to paradise.
And now that the podcast has ended, a holy war will begin.
Fuck. It could. In our honour. It could.
First scenes holy war has
Scenes
begun.
holy war. I could see it.
I can see it. I think we manifest cult activity. I think we've got our overwhelming charisma will generate a sort of a cultish fundamentalist following.
It definitely could. I think so.
A holy podcast, fucking raging across the galaxy, unquenchable fire. But when they say fire, it's like, oh, that's fire.
Like fire.
Sheesh. Unquenchable sheesh. Yeah. Nice one then. Make more Dune. Keep going, Denny.
Sure.
We loved it.
Yep.
Sci-fi saved.
Woo.
Star
Until
Wars.
the Alien TV show.
You got some shit to pick.
Which saves it better, more, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
Andor season 2 and Acolyte, we're waiting.
Acolyte's going to get buried, I'm sorry.
It shouldn't, because it's going to be so good, I think.
That'll be buried by the
Apparently it's
other.
going to come out in June.
Yeah.
Love it to put out fucking any indication that the thing still existed.
Aye, but it's going to come out in June, so that's why it's dying. Because June is everything else coming out as well.
June.
June.
When it's coming out in June?
The Bear, the Boys.
The Bull.
Nah,
The
there's some
Bear,
other,
the
there's some
Bull.
movies I think as well. June's stacked, bro. There's like shit tons in June. Aye.
Depends.
The Boys.
As long as maybe if Acolyte picks its time.
Make
Acolyte can
superheroes
pick its
great
time
again.
versus the Bear, surely, because Disney Plus have the Bear. Oh, but then the Bear's not only on
Yeah.
Disney Plus. Obviously, it's a show that's going on TV.
They would alternate, I feel. Weeks. Unlike Obi-Wan and Miss Marvel.
That's true, actually. Aye, that's true. Bye. We'll let Denis cook, and we'll get this Messiah shit.
Let the
I
man
am
cook.
on Dune. I am here for Dune, Graham.
Bro.
And I will be here until he stops doing Dune.
Oh, House of Dragons season 2.
Oh god, aye, that too.
That's June as well.
That's actually probably going to hit a fucking...
Yeah,
hit
see,
the ground
that's a busy month.
Oof.
But yes. Jesus.
I can't believe we get shit coming out to watch.
Bro.
And we'll be here to talk about at least one of them.
At least some of them. I can speak about the Boys. Ewan has not seen it.
You talk about though.
I can speak about the Bear.
I'm talking about the Acolyte.
We can
I
talk
need to
about
watch
the
the Bear. I
Acolyte.
need to watch the Boys, but I want to watch the Bear a lot.
That is, I watched season 1 in one sitting. It was that good.
And we're pressuring to watch Shogun. That's
Yes,
bigger than now. I want to
obviously.
get in on that.
Big on that. We love Japan.
It's a great sounding year for TV if they can deliver. If Marvel and Star Wars can get their fingers out their arses. I'll say Marvel and Star Wars, just Star Wars, because Marvel isn't making anything this year, basically.
No, but
Deadpool
that means
and then
that...
maybe the
yeah, but when it all comes out, it will
Agatha
be
show?
shit until we clear it, and then we get new good shit.
Or what, you think everything that's coming out now needs to come out before the good
Yes,
stuff?
before the quality actually rises.
Do you think Fantastic Four will be good?
No. I think it'll be fine. It doesn't need to be good in the way Superman needs to be good, but it needs to be pretty good, right? It needs to be pretty good.
Damn,
Damn,
you're right.
bro.
I'm really, we're such a precarious situation. I need to
We'll save that for another
see
day.
things. Yeah, catch us in a few years post like Deadpool, Thunderbolts, fucking like Fantastic Four, and we're
Captain
like,
America
where are
4.
we? Oh, Captain America 4, the movie that was death by 1,000 post-production cuts.
Yes,
Oh,
bro.
well, I've just seen that Jim Parsons will return as Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory in the final episode of Young Sheldon.
Yes, the cameo we all wanted.
I'm away to do some space melange, mate.
Bro.
It's called melange. It has a name.
Oh,
We just call
Jesus.
it the space.
That's because it is the spice, bro. That the spice of life. You know,
It's like a great tandoori.
it is. It's really nice. Yeah.
Speaking of tandoori, let's go and get some dinner, Graham. Let's call it there.
Okay,
Yeah, well done, guys. Go watch Dune.
go watch it.
Graham, it was great talking about Dune with you. It was
Great
great watching Dune with you. We saw it in IMAX. We
Of
never
course.
saw it. We never said it once in the whole video. We saw it in IMAX.
Yeah.
We saw it in IMAX.
The
If
best
you can
way
see
to
it in
see
IMAX, go
any
see it in
film.
IMAX.
See it in IMAX.
Fucking an religious experience.
Of course.
Part 1 was good as well. You get a double bill. We couldn't, because the only double bill was a midnight release, so
Yes.
we would have been up to 3 a.m.
But we did see the original in IMAX as well. So
we
don't
did see
worry
the
about
original IMAX when it was out. Yeah, and you know what? Watch Furiosa in IMAX.
it. Do that, yeah. They
Let's get them
better.
to put Mad Max Fury Road
Exactly.
back in IMAX.
Please, that's a double bill, surely,
Oh,
right?
Fuck, I forgot we didn't mention that. Yeah. Graham,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night, folks.
Goodbye. Enjoy.
Bye. And as you said, may thy knife chip and shatter.
May thy knife sharp and shatter. Scenes is a fan-created podcast. We have no affiliation with any of the brand studios or properties mentioned. All views are our own.
Produced and edited by my partner, Rebecca. Music is provided by Epidemic Sound, and the cover artwork was commissioned by Rhiannon Kagoe on Twitter or Instagram.